My name is Laura, and I'm 32 years old. I've been married to my husband, Nick, for 3 years. We're both the same age. We both work full-time, so we share the housework and manage to balance things pretty well. We don't have any kids yet, but we enjoy our life together. I work as a sales representative for a big company. It's a tough job, but I get paid well. Nick earns a bit less than I do. Even though Nick doesn't make as much money, I respect him because he loves his work and takes pride in it. Nick likes fishing as a hobby, so he's often away, but I understand he needs it to relax and take a break from work. We keep our savings separate, and I pay for all of our living expenses except for rent, which we split equally. I don't have any hobbies like Nick, but I enjoy seeing him happy with his. I'm fine with him spending money on his hobbies, while I focus on saving for our daily needs. The only thing that bothers me is Nick's mom, Wendy. We live very close to his parents, and since Wendy has trouble walking, Nick visits her often. That's fine with me, and I go with him when we don't have other plans. Today was our day off, so Nick asked me to go to his parents' house and bring a gift. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Wendy said, putting her hand on her cheek and sighing deeply. She said it had been a while, but we had just seen them last week. I thought to myself, she's probably saying that because Nick visited her alone last week, since I had to work on my day off for something urgent. I know you're busy, but before being an employee, you're my son's wife, right? Wendy said. I replied, yes. Wendy always talks to me like this. She doesn't like that I work so hard and earn more than Nick. She says things like, a woman should support her husband, it's wrong for a woman to work so hard, and that Nick feels embarrassed by how much I work. Oh, Mom, stop it. Laura and I already talked about this, Nick said, stepping in. Well, if you say so, then nothing can be done, Wendy replied. Nick usually has to stop his mom from criticizing me. I think Wendy, who has always been a stay-at-home mom, doesn't understand my feelings and will never agree with me working so hard. I'm really sorry, Nick always says on the way home. It's very stressful to be criticized by Wendy, but I try to deal with it because Nick always stands up for me and feels bad about it. When I checked the bank book after work, I noticed that this month's rent wasn't paid. That means I couldn't withdraw the money to pay for it. I asked Nick if he had forgotten to put the money into the account, since he usually does it after he gets paid. I don't have enough money this month again, he said. This had happened before. He probably bought something expensive and ran out of money, so he couldn't pay even half of the rent. When I sighed, Nick just laughed and tried to brush it off. Sorry, can you pay it this time? He said, as if it wasn't a big deal. I could understand if it only happened once or twice. I know sometimes he wants to buy something expensive, but this happened last month too. Well, a limited edition fishing rod just came out, he said. You said the same thing last month, though, I replied. If you really wanted it, why didn't you at least talk to me first? Even though we keep our accounts separate, if he can't even pay his share of the rent, that's a problem. Nick is supposed to pay half of the rent, but if he can't, I have to cover the whole thing, plus all the living expenses. I can't do that on my own. Ugh, stop nagging me, he interrupted as I tried to explain, sighing like it was no big deal. Nagging? I said, surprised. I get that this happens sometimes, but we agreed to pay the rent together. I was starting to worry about how he spent his money, but I hadn't said anything before. If anything comes up, you just talk about money, aren't you too obsessed with it, Laura? Nick said. I was shocked. How can you say that? We can't stay here if we don't pay the rent, right? Talking about money all the time is disgraceful, he replied. What, disgraceful? That's what Nick said to me. Why would he say that? I knew Nick didn't care much about money, and that was one of the things I liked about him, so even though he didn't save a lot, I thought it was okay if I saved the money and took care of the family finances. But to him, that was disgraceful. When I didn't say anything, Nick probably thought I couldn't argue back, so he sighed and said, I knew you were like this, but like my mom says, women should stay at home and support their husbands. What? If you don't support me as your husband, you'll be the one embarrassed later, he added, looking at his phone. I didn't know what to say. Nick always apologized and said his mom's views were old-fashioned and that she didn't understand me, but in the end, it all came back to her idea. What does Nick mean by supporting him as my husband? Does it mean I should silently manage the family finances? I came home late one day from work. Welcome home, Nick greeted me. Wait, what? Wendy's here? I didn't know she was coming over, I said, surprised. She took my bag and walked into the living room. I was shocked when I saw it. What's going on? The living room was full of cardboard boxes and packages that weren't there this morning. It was so crowded I could barely move. Not only was my mother-in-law there, but my father-in-law too. Nick was just sitting there, watching TV and drinking beer, laughing. Hey, what's happening? I asked. Don't talk so loud, Nick frowned. My mom and dad moved in today, he said. They moved in with us? I didn't hear anything about them moving in. You didn't mention anything this morning, I said, confused. My mother-in-law was unpacking her things with no care, smiling like everything was fine. Hey, I didn't hear about this, I said again. Mom can't walk very well anymore. She can still walk a little, but it's hard for her to live on her own, Nick explained. But we have an extra room, so it's fine, he added. I thought it would be better for you to live with Mom, so it won't be a burden on you. I'll help with the housework, and it'll be easier for you since you're always busy with work. It felt like they didn't care about me at all anymore. I told Nick I didn't want to live with his parents, but he didn't seem to listen. Seeing him act like this made me want to cry. We had gone through the trouble of renting a bigger house because we wanted space for a baby in the future, but I never imagined our family would grow like this. Living with Nick's parents felt terrible. They took over the room I had planned for a future baby, and it felt like they owned the house. My favorite sofa and dining table were no longer available to me. They told me that as the wife, I was supposed to do all the chores and not even sit down. The only time I could sit was when everyone was asleep, and I was alone. Eating leftovers by myself every day made me want to cry. What am I doing? How did this happen? My in-laws never paid for anything. When I asked them for help with money, they said, "You make a lot of money, but you're too stingy. Are you trying to take our pension money?" And they would yell at me. When I talked to Nick about it, he just looked disappointed. It's fine, it's just money. Mom is doing the housework, so they're helping you, right? He said. But in the end, Wendy would complain about how her feet and legs hurt from cleaning, cooking, and washing dishes, so I ended up doing it all. She did the laundry, but I didn't want to mix my clothes with theirs. In the end, I did all the laundry by myself. Since Nick's parents moved in, there were more people in the house, which meant more chores and more financial stress. I complained about it, but no one listened. Instead, they yelled at me, saying they didn't think I was such a cold person. What the heck? If you have a problem, leave. Nick, who used to support me, wasn't the husband I loved anymore. I realized I couldn't be happy living with these people anymore. Day after day, I was blamed for everything. Meals were wasted, and my personal belongings would disappear or end up in the trash. I became numb to it all. Then, there was the issue with the living expenses. You're still talking about that? You make a lot of money, so just handle it, they'd say. But my credit card was being used without my permission. Was this Wendy's doing? I only borrowed a little. I'll pay you back later. Wendy snickered when I showed her the credit card statement. I was shocked to see nearly $5,000 spent in 1 month. Wendy admitted she used my credit card, and I found many branded items in her room that she clearly bought using it. Nick knew about this, but didn't say anything. He stopped helping with the chores we used to share, and now he didn't even want to look at me. But I wasn't going to let this go on forever. That was enough. The next day, after I spoke to my lawyer, I took a paid leave from work. I left the house, but returned with movers and their truck. What about work? Wendy, who was alone at home when I returned, asked, confused. She saw the movers behind me and looked puzzled. Excuse me, we might be a bit noisy, I said, ignoring her. I told the movers to start. Huh? Who are these people? Wendy asked. Well, please get started, I told the movers. Walking past Wendy, who was shocked at what was happening, I led them to my room. Please take everything out, I said. They quickly packed up my things and started carrying them out. I felt relieved as I watched them. I wished I had left earlier. This hell could have ended sooner. Hey, what are you doing? I won't let you get away with this, Wendy yelled, but I ignored her. She started calling someone, probably Nick or my father-in-law. I didn't care who she called. I knew it would all be over before they arrived. Wendy kept complaining, but she couldn't stop the movers. Oh, sorry, this is the last one, I said, after most of my things were moved out. I turned to Wendy, who was still complaining. I'm leaving. Huh? Can you give this to Nick for me? I asked, holding out an envelope. Just then, the front door opened. Nick had rushed back in. As I expected, Nick returned after the movers finished their work. They had packed everything up in just half an hour. What the hell? Nick said, staring at the empty room, then glaring at me. Nick rushed in, looking angry. What the hell do you think you're doing? I smiled and handed him the envelope, ignoring his angry expression. He was shocked when he saw what was inside. Divorce papers. What? Nick said, surprised. Wendy came running over to see what was in Nick's hand. What are you doing? How dare you give my son divorce papers? It's time for a divorce, let's end this, I said calmly. You need to be grateful to Nick for marrying you, and it's your job to serve him and his family. The movers, who had been quietly waiting, looked surprised at Wendy's rude comments. I realized then that her behavior was out of line. I'm not wrong, this isn't normal. You told me to leave if I had a problem, didn't you? I said to Nick, who was stunned. I didn't think you'd actually leave, he stammered, probably shocked that I had the courage to do it. Well, I've had enough, and now I'm leaving, I said, turning and walking out with the movers. I apologized to the movers for the commotion, but they were supportive. They said they knew what had been going on and comforted me. I felt a mix of fear, sadness, and relief, but I was proud of myself for leaving. Afterwards, I officially filed for divorce through my lawyer. I had been preparing for this moment. I consulted a lawyer and gathered evidence of all the reasons I wanted a divorce, including all the complaints and criticisms from Wendy and Nick, as well as the personal belongings they had thrown away. My lawyer said I had enough evidence, so we moved forward. I had already signed a lease for my new place, and all that was left was to move my things. I smiled at the thought of starting fresh, even though I had to leave behind some of my favorite furniture. It felt exciting to finally live on my own terms. Nick and Wendy were not happy about the divorce. Nick even stormed into my lawyer's office asking for my whereabouts. He also tried waiting for me at work, but with the help of my colleagues, I was able to avoid them. The things Nick and his parents had done were terrible, and my lawyer said that if it went to court, we would definitely win. Nick didn't want a trial because it would cost him more money, so he reluctantly agreed to the divorce. I also demanded that Wendy pay me back for using my credit card without permission, along with alimony. Wendy fought back at first, but when I threatened to report her to the police, she backed down. Wendy kept saying, "We're family," but I realized she only meant her own little family, her, Nick, and her husband. She had forgotten about me. I felt disgusted every time she used the word family to try and manipulate me. After the divorce was final, Nick and his parents moved away. The neighborhood didn't want them around after all the drama, and Nick couldn't afford the rent without me. They moved to a small house in a rural area, and Nick now had to live on his small salary and his parents' pension. Nick tried to contact me many times, texting, "We're struggling, please come home," but I blocked his messages. As for me, I'm finally happy. I live in a place filled with things I love and work at a job I enjoy. I don't have to worry about people invading my privacy or always complaining about me. Life is much more comfortable now. There's a colleague at work who I'm interested in. We're both busy, but he's kind and understands that I need time to trust him. He's patient and says he'll wait. We support each other and are independent, and I'm excited to see where this relationship can go. I'm ready to live a happy life with someone who respects me.
I've spent 15 years making other people's dreams come true, but today I'm going to destroy one. My sister just walked into my office, flashing that $1,000,000 smile that's always gotten her everything she wants, including my fiancé. Laurel, I need your help, Sarah says, perching herself on the edge of my desk like she owns it. I want you to plan my wedding. My wedding, the one I spent months designing before she stole Jason from me. The irony would be funny if it didn't make me want to scream. I keep my face neutral, the way I've learned to do when difficult clients make impossible demands. You want me to plan your wedding to my ex-fiancé? Who better? She reaches for my hand. I resist the urge to pull away. You're the best event planner in the city. Everyone knows it. And? She hesitates, batting those perfect eyelashes. It would mean so much to Mom and Dad. They're heartbroken about how things turned out. Of course they are. Poor Sarah, having to deal with all this drama she created. My parents have always rushed to protect her, their perfect younger daughter, while I was expected to be the responsible one. I don't think that's appropriate, I say, standing up to create some distance between us. The view from my office window shows the city skyline, a reminder of everything I've built on my own. Please? Sarah's voice breaks slightly. I know things are complicated, but you're my sister. And Jason, he feels terrible about everything. The mention of his name still feels like a punch to the gut. 6 months ago, I caught them together at our family lake house, the same place where Jason had proposed to me a year earlier. Mom's already telling everyone you agreed, Sarah adds. And there it is, the real reason she's here. It's not about healing or family. It's about appearances. My phone buzzes. It's Gemma, my best friend. Drinks tonight? You look like you need them. She can see my office from her law firm across the street. I text back a quick "God, yes" before facing Sarah again. Let me think about it, I say, knowing it will drive her crazy. Sarah's never had to wait for anything in her life. But the date, I said, I'll think about it. My tone leaves no room for argument. She stands, smoothing her designer dress. The ceremony's in 3 months, at the plaza. Of course it is. Just, please call me soon. After she leaves, I sink into my chair, my hands shaking. 3 months, the plaza, my original venue, my original date. They're not even trying to hide it. Gemma bursts in 20 minutes later, martini hour apparently starting early. Tell me you told her to go to hell. Not exactly. I pull out the bottle of wine I keep for emergencies. This definitely qualifies. Laurel. Gemma's voice has that warning tone she uses in court. You can't seriously be considering this. I pour us both a generous glass. You know what the funny thing is? I actually am. Have you lost your mind? Maybe. I take a long sip. But think about it. Who better to destroy a wedding than the person planning it? Gemma's eyes widen. Oh no, 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 no. Oh yes. The idea that's been forming since Sarah walked in suddenly crystallizes. I know every secret in this family, every skeleton in every closet, including the one nobody talks about. Remington? Gemma whispers, and I nod. My half-brother, the product of my father's affair that nobody acknowledges. The perfect ammunition for my perfect sister's perfect day. This is insane, Gemma says, but I can see her legal mind already working through the possibilities. Maybe. I pull out my phone and type out a message to Sarah. I'll do it. First meeting tomorrow at 9. The response is immediate. Thank you. You're the best sister ever. I smile, feeling more alive than I have in months. No, Sarah, I'm about to be the worst. Gemma sighs, finishing her wine. You know this will blow up in your face. Probably. I stand up, gathering my things. But for once in my life, I'm not going to be the responsible one. I'm going to be the one who burns it all down. And Jason? She asks quietly. I pause at the door, remembering his face the last time I saw him. The guilt in his eyes, the weak excuses, Jason made his choice. Now he gets to live with it. As we head out for those drinks, my phone buzzes again. It's my mother. Sarah told me the wonderful news. I knew you'd do the right thing. I turn off my phone without responding. For once, Mom's right. I am doing the right thing. Just not the way any of them expect. The sun is setting over the city as Gemma and I walk to our favorite bar. 3 months to plan the perfect wedding. 3 months to orchestrate the perfect revenge. I've never failed to deliver a flawless event, and this one will be my masterpiece. Let the planning begin. The plaza's grand ballroom sparkles with morning light as I walk Sarah through potential table arrangements. She's nodding along, but I can tell she's not really listening. Her attention keeps drifting to her phone, probably texting Jason. So I'm thinking we'll seat Mom next to that stripper from Dad's bachelor party, I say casually. That sounds perfect, Sarah replies automatically, then looks up. Wait, what? I smile sweetly, just making sure you're paying attention. 2 weeks into planning, and everything's moving according to schedule. Sarah trusts me completely, which makes this all so much easier, and so much worse. My phone vibrates. Unknown number. I step away from Sarah, who's back to texting, and answer. Hello? Laurel? The voice is familiar, even after all these years. It's Remington. My heart skips. I haven't heard from my half-brother since that explosive Christmas dinner 5 years ago, when he showed up uninvited and Dad nearly had a heart attack. Give me a minute, I whisper, then turn to Sarah. Wedding emergency, back in 5. I hurry to the hotel's service corridor. I wasn't sure you'd call back. Wasn't sure I would either. His voice is deeper than I remember. Your message was interesting. Are you in town? Landing tomorrow. A pause. Are you sure about this, Laurel? It's gonna get ugly. It's already ugly. I lean against the wall, checking no one's around. They're using my original wedding date, my venue, even my color scheme. Jesus. He lets out a low whistle. That's cold. Will you help me? Another pause. What exactly are you planning? Remember that Christmas dinner? I ask. Imagine that, but with 200 guests and a wedding cake. He laughs, but it's not entirely humorous. Dad might actually have that heart attack this time. He should have thought about that before he created this mess. I check my watch. Look, meet me tomorrow at the Bean, 3 p.m. We can discuss details. I'll be there. He hesitates. It's good to hear your voice, sis. The call ends just as Sarah rounds the corner. There you are. Jason's coming by to look at cake samples. You don't mind, do you? Of course he is, because this day needed to get more complicated. An hour later, I'm arranging cake samples when Jason walks in. He looks good. Damn him. Laurel. He stops short, like he wasn't expecting me to be here. In my own office, planning his wedding. Jason, I keep my voice professional. Sarah's running late. Traffic. He sits down, loosening his tie. The silence stretches uncomfortably. You don't have to do this, he finally says. Actually, I do. Sarah told everyone I agreed before asking me. Very on brand for her. He winces. I meant all of it. The wedding. Us. He gestures vaguely between himself and wherever Sarah is. I put down the cake sample I'm holding before I throw it at him. Getting cold feet? No, He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it hurts. This isn't how I pictured any of this happening. Funny, me neither. My version didn't include my sister and fiancé sneaking around behind my back. It wasn't like that. Really? I lean forward. Then what was it like, Jason? Enlighten me. Before he can answer, Sarah breezes in. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane. She kisses Jason's cheek, then looks at the samples. Ooh, is that red velvet? I spend the next hour watching them feed each other cake, maintaining my professional smile while plotting their downfall. Sarah picks the exact flavor I would have chosen. Of course she does. After they leave, I call Gemma. I need a drink. It's 2 p.m. It's been that kind of day. She sighs. Meet you at Joey's in 20. At the bar, I tell her about Remington's call. This is getting real, she says, stirring her martini. Are you ready for the fallout? You should have seen them today, Gem. Playing happy couple with my wedding plans. And Jason, still looking at you like a kicked puppy? I take a long drink. He tried to talk to me about all of this when Sarah wasn't there. Meaning? I don't know, and I don't care. I check my phone. A text from Sarah. The cake tasting was perfect. You're the best. Liar, Gemma says, reading over my shoulder. Tomorrow I meet Remington. I show her the time and place. Wanna come? She shakes her head. I'll maintain plausible deniability, thanks. But call me after? Always. That night I lie awake, staring at my ceiling. Tomorrow everything starts moving faster. Tomorrow I add the first real piece to my revenge puzzle. My phone lights up. Jason, can we talk? Alone? I turn the phone face down without responding. Some conversations are better left for the altar. Sleep comes eventually, and I dream of wedding bells and chaos. In my dreams, I'm smiling. Remington looks exactly like our father, which is probably why Dad hates seeing him so much. He's waiting at the bean when I arrive, leather jacket and that same crooked smile that runs in the family. You look good, big sister, he says, pulling me into a hug. Success suits you. You look exactly the same. I step back to study him. Still breaking hearts and taking names? Something like that. He gestures to a nearby bench. So, tell me about this nuclear option you're planning. I sit down, watching people rush past. How much do you know about what happened? The basics. Your fiancé ran off with our darling baby sister. His jaw tightens. Real classy move. They're getting married at the plaza. My venue, my date, my everything. I turn to face him, and I'm planning it. He lets out a low whistle. That's twisted, even for this family. Speaking of family, I pull out my phone, showing him the guest list. Notice anyone missing? Besides me? He scrolls through the names. Let me guess, they're pretending I don't exist. Again. Exactly. But here's the thing. You're not just Dad's dirty secret anymore. You're my secret weapon. His eyes narrow. What exactly are you suggesting? The ceremony, walking down the aisle, making a grand entrance. I lean closer. Imagine Dad's face when his illegitimate son shows up in front of everyone he knows. Jesus, Laurel. He hands back my phone. That's not just burning bridges. That's nuclear warfare. Are you in or not? Before he can answer, a familiar voice cuts through the air. Laurel? Jason stands there, looking between me and Remington with obvious confusion. Of all the terrible timing. Jason, I stand up quickly. What are you doing here? He gestures vaguely at the bean. Coffee. Who's this? Remington rises slowly, extending his hand. I'm her brother. You must be the ex-fiancé who's marrying our sister. The color drains from Jason's face. Brother? I didn't know. No one does, Remington says cheerfully. That's kind of the point. Jason looks at me, understanding dawning in his eyes. Laurel, can we talk? Privately? Actually, we're in the middle of something. I start, but Remington cuts me off. No, go ahead. I need to make some calls anyway. He hugs me again, whispering, I'm in. Let's burn it all down. Then louder, nice meeting you, Jason. Good luck with the wedding. As Remington walks away, Jason takes his vacant seat. So that's why you agreed to plan the wedding. You don't know anything about why I agreed. I know you. He moves closer. I know when you're plotting something. New me, I correct him. Past tense. You gave up the right to know me when you chose her. That's what I've been trying to talk to you about. He runs his hands through his hair. I made a mistake. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Which part? Sleeping with my sister or asking her to marry you? Both. All of it. He looks at me directly. I don't love her, Laurel. I never did. Could have fooled me, and her, and everyone else. It was, I don't know. She was there, and you were always working, and she kept saying how you took everything for granted. Don't you dare blame this on me. My voice shakes with anger. You could have talked to me. Instead, you slept with my sister. I know it's unforgivable. He reaches for my hand, but I pull away. But this wedding, it's a mistake. Sarah knows it too. She's just too proud to admit it. Then call it off. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. I stand up. You either want to marry her or you don't. What about you? He stands too. Do you want me to marry her? What I want stopped mattering the moment you chose her. Laurel, please. He steps closer. I miss you. Every day, I miss you. For a moment, just a moment, I remember how it felt to love him. Then I remember finding them together at the lake house, and my heart hardens again. I have a wedding to plan, I say, stepping back. Your wedding, to my sister. Remember? Don't do this, he says quietly. Whatever you're planning with your brother, don't. You don't get to tell me what to do anymore. I turn to leave, then pause. Oh, and Jason, don't tell Sarah about Remington. It would be a shame to ruin the surprise. I walk away, my hands shaking. My phone buzzes. It's Remington. Just booked my ticket for the wedding. This is going to be one hell of a show. I smile, despite the ache in my chest. Jason's confession changes nothing. If anything, it makes my plan even better. Let him sweat for the next few weeks, wondering what's coming. The wedding is in 2 months, just enough time to make everything perfect before I destroy it all. The flowers are wrong, Sarah announces, storming into my office. Everything is wrong. I look up from my laptop, where I'm finalizing Remington's role in the ceremony. The flowers are exactly what you picked. They're two. I don't know. She paces, agitated. They're just wrong, like everything else. 6 weeks until the wedding, and Sarah's finally cracking, right on schedule. Is this about the flowers? I ask carefully, or about Jason? She freezes. What about Jason? I saw him yesterday at the catering tasting. I keep my voice neutral. He seemed distracted. Did he say something to you? Sarah drops into the chair across from me. He's been acting weird ever since that day at the Bean. I hide my smile. Maybe he's just nervous about the wedding. No, it's more than that. She leans forward. Has he talked to you? About us? Sarah, I'm your wedding planner, not your therapist. But you're also my sister. Her eyes fill with tears. And you know him better than anyone. The irony of this conversation isn't lost on me. Maybe that's something you should discuss with your fiancé. I tried. He just says everything's fine, but I know it's not. She wipes her eyes. I think he might still have feelings for you. I let the silence stretch, watching her squirm. And what if he does? What? What if he does still have feelings for me? I lean back. Would that surprise you, given how things happened? That's not fair. She stands up. We fell in love. These things happen. No, Sarah, these things don't just happen. You make them happen. What's that supposed to mean? It means you've been taking what's mine since we were kids. The words pour out before I can stop them. My toys, my clothes, my fiancé, whatever I have, you want. That's ridiculous. But her face flushes. I love Jason. Do you? Or do you just love that he was mine? She slaps her hands on my desk. You're supposed to be helping me. I am helping you. I stand up slowly. I'm giving you the perfect wedding. Isn't that what you wanted? I want my sister back. You lost your sister the day you slept with my fiancé. We stare at each other across the desk, years of unspoken resentment hanging between us. My phone buzzes, a text from Mom. Coming by to check on wedding preparations. Hope you girls are playing nice. Perfect timing, as always. Mom's on her way, I tell Sarah. Should we tell her about this conversation? She pales. No, she wouldn't understand. You mean she might actually have to acknowledge that her perfect daughter did something wrong? Stop it. Sarah's voice breaks. Just stop it. Fine. I sit back down. Let's talk about your wrong flowers. Mom arrives 15 minutes later, while Sarah and I are coldly discussing centerpieces. She takes one look at our faces and sighs. Girls, what's wrong? Nothing, we say in unison, a habit from childhood. Sarah's just having some doubts about the flowers, I add sweetly. Mom frowns. The purple orchids? But they're beautiful. And wasn't that what you wanted for your wedding, Laurel? Sarah's head snaps up. What? The purple orchids, Mom continues, oblivious to the tension. They were in all of Laurel's planning books, don't you remember? Sarah looks at me, realization dawning. You let me choose everything from your wedding plans? You wanted the perfect wedding. I shrug. I had one planned. Oh, God. She stands up suddenly. I have to go. She rushes out, leaving Mom confused. What was that about? Wedding stress, I say smoothly. You know how brides can be. Mom sits where Sarah was. Laurel, are you sure you're okay with all this? Planning their wedding? Of course, I smile. I want everything to be perfect. That's my responsible girl. She pats my hand, always putting family first. If she only knew. After she leaves, I text Remington. Sarah's cracking, Jason's wavering, everything's on track. He responds immediately. Got my suit today. Dad's gonna hate the color. I laugh out loud. Then another text comes through from Jason. Need to see you. Important. I ignore it, like I've ignored his last dozen messages. Whatever he has to say can wait until the wedding. My phone rings. It's Gemma. Sarah just called me crying. What did you do? Nothing. I start packing up my office for the day. Just helped her realize some things about her wedding choices. Laurel, trust me, I say, looking at the calendar where I've marked the wedding date in red. Everything's going exactly according to plan. 6 weeks to go. Sarah's doubting everything. Jason's unraveling. And my parents are about to get the surprise of their lives. I should feel guilty. Instead, I feel powerful. Let them all sweat. The rehearsal dinner is in 3 days, and I'm standing in my office bathroom, staring at my phone. Jason's latest message glows on the screen. I called off the wedding. My hands shake as I dial his number. He answers on the first ring. What do you mean you called it off? Exactly what I said. His voice is rough, like he's been arguing. I told Sarah I can't marry her. When? An hour ago. She's at your parents' house now. He pauses. I told her the truth. About everything. My heart stops. Everything? That I never stopped loving you. That being with her was the biggest mistake of my life. He takes a shaky breath. That I saw you with your brother and realized what you were planning. The room spins. Jason? I didn't tell them about him. He cuts in. That's your story to tell. But Laurel, come over, please. We need to talk. Before I can respond, my office door bursts open. Sarah storms in, mascara streaking her face. I have to go, I tell Jason, hanging up as Sarah reaches my desk. Are you happy now? She screams. He left me 3 days before the rehearsal dinner. Sarah, this is what you wanted, isn't it? She sweeps her arm across my desk, sending wedding plans flying. To destroy my happiness like I destroyed yours? That's enough. I grab her wrists before she can do more damage. You did this to yourself. He says he's still in love with you. She yanks away from me. Have you been sleeping with him? No, I haven't even talked to him. Liar, he told me about seeing you with some man at the Bean, having secret meetings, planning God knows what. My office door opens again. Mom stands there, looking older than I've ever seen her. Girls, she says quietly, your father's having chest pains. We need to go to the hospital. The world stops. 20 minutes later, we're in the emergency room waiting area. Dad's behind closed doors, and Mom's filling out paperwork with trembling hands. This is your fault, Sarah whispers beside me. All of it. Before I can respond, Gemma appears, looking worried. I came as soon as I heard. How is he? We don't know yet, I say, standing to hug her. But Sarah was just explaining how it's all my fault. Stop it, both of you, Mom snaps, looking up from her forms. Your father doesn't need this right now. My phone buzzes. Remington, just heard about Dad. On my way. Don't you dare, I text back quickly. Not now. Too late, already in a cab. Panic rises in my throat. This isn't how it was supposed to happen. Not like this. Jason appears next, because apparently this night needed more complications. He looks between Sarah and me, then sits next to Mom. I'm so sorry, he says softly, about everything. Sarah makes a choked sound and runs to the bathroom. Mom sighs and follows her. You shouldn't be here, I tell Jason. Your father's been like a dad to me for years. He moves closer. I care about what happens to him. Funny way of showing it. I had to end it. He reaches for my hand. I couldn't go through with the wedding knowing. Don't. I pull away. Not here, not now. Then when? Before I can answer, I see Remington walking through the emergency room doors. No, no, no. Laurel? Mom's voice comes from behind me. Who's that? I turn to see her and Sarah returning, both staring at Remington, at his face that looks so much like Dad's. Hi, Alice, Remington says quietly. It's been a while. Mom's face goes white. Sarah looks confused. Mom, who is this? He's our brother, I say, because what's one more explosion tonight? Dad's other son. What? Sarah's voice rises. What are you talking about? This was your plan? Jason asks softly beside me. To expose this at our wedding? Your wedding? Remington laughs. There is no wedding anymore, remember? Everyone, please, Mom pleads. Not here. A doctor approaches, and we all fall silent. Family of Desmond? She asks. Yes. 4 voices answer. Mom, Sarah, Remington, and me. The doctor looks confused but continues. He's stable. It wasn't a heart attack, just severe anxiety. But we'd like to keep him overnight for observation. Can we see him? Mom asks. 2 at a time. The doctor looks at our group. Immediate family only. That's all of us, Remington says with a bitter smile. Mom straightens her spine. Sarah and I will go first. As they follow the doctor, Sarah shoots me a look that could freeze hell. Jason touches my arm. Laurel, just go, I tell him. Please. He hesitates, then leaves. Remington sits beside me. Well, he says, this isn't quite how we planned it. Gemma, who's been quietly watching everything unfold, finally speaks. No, but maybe it's better this way. Less theatrical, more real. I look at my hands, still shaking. Dad's going to hate this. Dad's going to hate all of it, Remington says. But at least now everyone knows the truth. Not everyone, I think. Not yet. There are still more secrets to come. Dad's hospital room is quiet except for the steady beep of monitors. He's awake, staring at me with eyes that look older than they did yesterday. So, he says finally, you found him. He wasn't hard to find. I sit in the chair beside his bed. He's been in the city for years. And you brought him here. There's no anger in his voice, just resignation. To punish me? No. I lean forward. To tell the truth, finally. The truth, he laughs weakly. The truth is, I made a mistake 30 years ago. Your mother forgave me. We moved on. Did we? Or did we just pretend everything was fine while you pushed away your own son? Laurel, he reaches for my hand. I know you're angry about Sarah and Jason. This isn't about them. But it is, partly. This is about how this family deals with everything. We pretend, we hide, we lie. To protect each other. To protect you. I pull my hand away. Mom pretends she's okay with what you did. Sarah pretends she didn't steal my fiancé. I pretend I'm happy planning their wedding. We're happy, he corrects. The wedding's off. Yeah, I sit back. Funny how truth has that effect. A knock at the door interrupts us. It's Jason, looking uncomfortable. Sorry, he says. The nurse said visiting hours are almost over. Come in, son, Dad says, and the word hits me like a slap. Son. The son he chose. Jason hesitates, then enters. How are you feeling? Like my family's falling apart. Dad looks between us, but maybe it was already broken. I'm sorry, Jason says, about everything. Are you? I stand up. Or are you just sorry you got caught? Laurel, Dad warns. No, she's right. Jason steps closer. I am sorry, for all of it, for hurting you, for lying, for not being brave enough to tell the truth sooner. And Sarah? I ask. Are you sorry about her too? I never should have started anything with her. He runs a hand through his hair. I was confused and she was there. She was there? Dad's voice rises. That's your excuse for destroying your relationship with Laurel? No, sir. Jason looks at his feet. There is no excuse. Another knock. This time it's Remington. Dad's heart monitor speeds up. Get out, he says, but there's no strength behind it. No. Remington walks in. I think we've all done enough running. You're not welcome here. I'm your son. Remington's voice breaks slightly, whether you want me or not. The room fills with tension so thick I can barely breathe. Dad, I say quietly, he deserves to be heard. Like you deserve to be heard? Jason asks. When Sarah and don't. I cut him off. This isn't about us anymore. Isn't it? Remington looks at me. Isn't this all about the secrets we keep? The lies we tell? Dad's monitor beeps faster. Everyone out, a nurse says from the doorway. Patient needs rest. Wait. Dad grabs my hand. Laurel, what are you planning? I look at the three men in the room. My father, my ex-fiancé, my brother, each holding pieces of the truth. Nothing anymore, I say. The truth's already out. Not all of it, Remington says quietly. The nurse clears her throat pointedly. Outside the hospital, Jason catches up to me. Can we talk, please? Haven't we done enough talking? No. He grabs my arm gently. We haven't. Not really. Remington appears beside us. I'll give you two a minute. Once we're alone, Jason speaks quickly. Move in with me. What? I still have our apartment. Everything's exactly as you left it. His eyes are desperate. We can start over. Are you insane? I pull away. You think after everything. I love you. He steps closer. I never stopped. Sarah was a mistake, the biggest mistake of my life. And that makes it okay? No, nothing makes it okay. He takes my hands. But I want to try, to fix this, to fix us. For a moment, just a moment, I remember how it felt to love him without pain. Then I remember Sarah's face in the hospital, mascara streaked and broken. There is no us, I say, pulling away. Not anymore. Laurel. Go home, Jason. I start walking toward my car. Go home and think about what you've done to both of us. Remington's waiting by my car. You okay? He asks. No. I lean against the door. But maybe that's good. Maybe we all needed to stop being okay with everything. There's still more truth to tell, he reminds me. I know. I look back at the hospital, but not tonight. Tonight we let them sit with what they know. And tomorrow? I check my phone. 3 missed calls from Sarah, 2 from Mom, 1 text from Gemma. Need backup? Tomorrow, I say. We keep telling the truth until there's nothing left to hide. We need to talk about Mom, Remington says, setting down his coffee cup in my kitchen. It's been 2 days since the hospital, and the dust hasn't even begun to settle. What about Mom? About why she really forgave Dad. He pulls out his phone, showing me an old photograph. Look familiar? The woman in the photo looks exactly like Sarah. Same smile, same eyes. But the date stamp says 1992. That's not Mom, I say slowly. No, that's Rebecca, Dad's first wife. My coffee cup slips from my hand, shattering on the floor. What? The woman he left for Mom. Remington's eyes are hard. The woman who died 6 months after he abandoned her. The doorbell rings before I can process this. It's Sarah. We need to talk, she says, then stops when she sees Remington. Oh, you're here. Come in, I say. You should hear this too. Sarah steps around the broken coffee cup. What's going on? Show her, I tell Remington. He hands Sarah the photo. She frowns, then her face goes white. This looks like you, Remington finishes, because that's Rebecca, our father's first wife. First wife? Sarah sinks into a chair. What are you talking about? Dad was married before Mom, I explain, the pieces finally clicking into place. He left Rebecca for Mom, then Rebecca died. No. Sarah shakes her head. Mom would have told us. Would she? Remington takes back his phone. Or would she hide it, like she hid me? The doorbell rings again. This time it's Jason. Not now, I start, but Sarah cuts me off. No, he should hear this too. She looks up at him, tears in her eyes. Apparently, our whole life is a lie. Jason steps in, taking in the scene. What's going on? Family history lesson, Remington says dryly. Pull up a chair. My phone buzzes. It's Mom. Coming over. We need to talk. Perfect timing, I mutter, showing the others. Mom's on her way. Good. Remington stands. Time for the whole truth. 20 minutes later, we're all sitting in my living room. Mom looks around at our faces and sighs. You found the photo, she says to Remington. You knew? Sarah's voice cracks. About his first wife? About me? Sarah? Is that why? Sarah stands up, shaking. Is that why you always favored me? Because I look like her? It's not that simple, Mom starts. Then explain it, I snap. Explain why we've lived our whole lives pretending. Because that's what families do, Mom shouts back. They protect each other. No, Remington says quietly. They love each other, even the parts that hurt. Jason stands up. I should go. This is family business. Stay, Mom says suddenly. You're part of this too now. Am I? He looks at me. After everything? You want to talk about everything? Sarah laughs bitterly. Like how you told me you loved me? How you made me believe we had something real? Sarah, he starts. No, She turns to Mom. You want the truth? Here's the truth. I went after Jason because he was Laurel's. Because for once, I wanted to take something from her instead of always being the replacement daughter. The room goes silent. Replacement? Mom whispers. Don't pretend you don't see it. Sarah's crying now. The way Dad looks at me, like he's seeing a ghost, like he's seeing her. That's not. It is. Remington stands, just like the way he looks at me and sees his mistake. You're not a mistake, Mom says. Then why hide me? He steps closer to her. Why pretend I don't exist? Because I was afraid. Mom's composure finally breaks. Afraid your father would leave me like he left her. Afraid of losing everything. Afraid of the truth. And now? I ask quietly. What are you afraid of now? She looks at each of us, her children, both acknowledged and hidden, and Jason, the almost son she's losing twice. Now? She wipes her eyes. Now I'm afraid it's too late to fix any of this. It's not, Remington says, but only if we stop hiding. Dad needs to know we know, I add. He does know. Mom pulls out her phone, showing us a text. He's being discharged today. He wants us all to come to the house, including you, Remington. Sarah stands suddenly. I can't face him knowing. Knowing what? Jason asks. That you look like someone else? That doesn't change who you are, doesn't it? She looks at me. Isn't that why you hate me? Because I take things that aren't mine? I don't hate you, I say, surprising myself with the truth of it. I just want you to stop pretending everything's okay when it's not. Mom checks her watch. Your father's waiting. We all look at each other, the broken pieces of a family built on secrets. Well, Remington says, grabbing his keys, let's go break Dad's heart one more time. As we file out, Jason catches my arm. What about us? I look at him, really look at him, for the first time since everything fell apart. There is no us, I say gently. There's just the truth, and it's time we all faced it. Dad's sitting in his favorite armchair when we arrive, looking smaller than I've ever seen him. He watches silently as we file into the living room. His wife, his 3 children, and the man who almost became his son-in-law twice. So, he says finally, no more secrets. No more secrets, Mom agrees, sitting beside him. Sarah steps forward, holding Remington's photo. Did you love her? Dad takes the photo with trembling hands. Rebecca. He looks up at Sarah. You look just like her. That's not an answer. Yes, his voice breaks. I loved her, and then I met your mother and I loved her too. I made choices, terrible choices. You left her, Remington says. I did. Dad meets his eyes. And then she died, and I couldn't face what I'd done. So I ran. I kept running. From me, Remington says. From everything. Dad looks at each of us. From the truth, from guilt, from responsibility. And us? I ask. Were you running from us too? No. He reaches for my hand. I was trying to protect you, all of you. By lying? Sarah's voice cracks. By pretending everything was perfect, Mom cuts in. We both did that. We thought if we just loved you enough, the past wouldn't matter. But it does matter, I say. Look at us. Look at what we've become. Jason steps forward. I should go. Stay, Dad says. You're part of this mess too. I am. Jason looks at Sarah, then me. I made choices too. Bad ones. We all did, Sarah whispers. Dad struggles to stand. Mom moves to help him, but he waves her away. He walks to Remington, who stiffens. My son, Dad says, and pulls him into a hug. Remington resists for a moment, then breaks. They hold each other, 30 years of absence crumbling between them. I'm sorry, Dad says, over and over. I'm so sorry. Sarah starts crying. I reach for her hand, and for once, she lets me take it. I didn't mean to hurt you, she tells me. I wanted to feel chosen, just once. I know. And suddenly I do know. We all did. Dad turns to us, still holding Remington. Come here, both of you. We join them, and Mom too. And for a moment, we're just a family, broken and healing and real. Jason moves toward the door. I'll leave you to... Jason, I call out. Thank you. He turns. For what? For helping me see the truth about all of it. He nods, understanding. This is goodbye, really goodbye this time. After he leaves, we sit together in the living room. No more secrets between us, just the raw, painful truth. What now? Sarah asks. Now, Dad says, we start over. No more running, no more hiding. No more perfect family? I ask. No. Mom smiles sadly. Just a real one. Remington checks his phone. My flight's in 3 hours. Stay, Dad says quickly. Please, we have so much to talk about. I can't. Remington stands. But I'll come back if you want me to. We want you to, Sarah says, surprising everyone. You're our brother. He hugs her, then me, then our parents. At the door, he turns to me. You okay? I look at my family, Dad holding Mom's hand, Sarah wiping her eyes, all the perfect facades finally stripped away. Yeah, I say. I think I am. After Remington leaves, Sarah helps me clean up the coffee cups. I called the plaza, she says. Canceled everything. I'm sorry about the wedding. I'm not, she rinses a cup. It wasn't real. None of it was real. In the living room, we can hear our parents talking softly, decades of secrets finally seeing daylight. What about you? Sarah asks. Will you forgive Jason? Already have. I take the cup from her. But forgiveness doesn't mean going back. She nods. And me? Will you forgive me? I look at my sister, really look at her, not Dad's replacement daughter or Mom's perfect child or the woman who stole my fiancé, just Sarah, as broken and real as the rest of us. Yes, I say, but no more pretending. No more pretending, she agrees. Dad calls us back to the living room. He's holding an old photo album. There are stories you should hear, he says, about Rebecca, about everything. We sit together, turning pages, letting truth replace secrets. It hurts, but it's a clean kind of hurt, the kind that heals. My phone buzzes, Gemma checking in. I text back, family meeting, real one this time, tell you later. Mom reaches for my hand. Thank you, she whispers. For what? For breaking us apart. She squeezes my fingers so we could put ourselves back together. Outside, the sun is setting. Inside, we're building something new from the wreckage of our perfect lies. Something real, something true. It's not perfect, but maybe that's exactly what we needed all along.
The inheritance check sat on my kitchen counter, mocking me with its emptiness. $300,000. Gone. Not stolen by a stranger or lost to some elaborate scam, but swindled away by my own sister. I'm Emily, and until yesterday, I thought I knew what family meant. You can't just take what was meant for me. My voice cracked as I confronted Ainsley in our childhood home's living room. She sat there, perfectly composed in her designer outfit, probably bought with my money. The will didn't specify you, she said coolly, examining her manicured nails. Aunt Caroline left it to her beloved niece. I'm her niece too. You know she meant me. I was the one who visited her every weekend. I was the one who helped with her medical appointments. I was... The perfect niece? Ainsley's eyes flashed. Some of us had to work, Emily. We can't all spend our time playing favorite with rich relatives. The irony of her words hit like a slap. I'd been working 2 jobs while finishing my architecture degree, while Ainsley hopped between marketing positions, living off our parents' generosity. Working? I laughed bitterly. Is that what you call maxing out Mom and Dad's credit cards? The front door opened, and Cynthia, my mentor from the architecture firm, stepped in. I'd called her in desperation, needing someone who understood contract law. Emily? She looked between us, her experienced eyes taking in the scene. I came as soon as I could. Ainsley straightened. This is a family matter. Family? I grabbed the empty inheritance check. You forged my signature, Ainsley. You convinced the executor you were me. Cynthia's sharp intake of breath cut through the tension. That's a serious accusation. It's also unprovable. Ainsley stood, smoothing her skirt. The money's been transferred. It's done. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Ainsley challenged. Drag our family through a scandal. Make Mom cry more than she already has. Besides, she smiled sweetly, I've already spent most of it. Cynthia placed a steady hand on my arm. Emily, wait, let's think this through. But I was already dialing. Ainsley's face paled slightly, but she maintained her composure. Mom and Dad will never forgive you. I paused, finger hovering over the call button. She was right. Our parents would be devastated. They'd already lost so much trying to keep our family afloat. You're really going to stand there and blackmail me with our parents' happiness? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm being practical. Something you never learned. Ainsley grabbed her purse. Face it, Emily. You're too soft for the real world. That money would have been wasted on your little dream projects. Cynthia stepped forward. Dreams like the sustainable housing initiative she's been developing? The one that could revolutionize affordable housing in this city? Ainsley faltered for a moment, but quickly recovered. Whatever. What's done is done. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it, barely registering the words through my anger. Get out, I said quietly. This is my house too. Get out, I screamed, my voice raw with emotion. You're not my sister anymore. You're just a thief in designer clothes. Ainsley's mask cracked slightly. For a moment, I saw something. Regret? Fear? But then it was gone, replaced by cold determination. She walked to the door, pausing only briefly. You'll thank me someday, when you learn how the world really works. After she left, Cynthia read the text over my shoulder. Emily, this could change everything. I nodded numbly, reading it again. Isaiah Murphy, head of Murphy & Associates, wanted to meet about leading their new cityscape project, the biggest architectural opportunity in the city's history. The universe has interesting timing, Cynthia said softly. Maybe this is your real inheritance. I wiped my eyes, straightening my shoulders. Maybe it is. I looked around the living room, at the family photos mocking me from the walls. I need to pack. You're moving out? I can't stay here. Not with her. I met Cynthia's concerned gaze. I thought I knew my sister, but the Ainsley I grew up with, she died today, along with every happy memory I had of us. Cynthia helped me pack that night. As we loaded the last box into my car, my phone buzzed again. Isaiah wanted to meet tomorrow morning. You know what they say, Cynthia smiled, hugging me goodbye. Success is the best revenge. I watched our childhood home fade in my rearview mirror, each mile putting distance between me and the betrayal. Aunt Caroline had always said everything happens for a reason. Maybe she was right. Maybe losing my inheritance would lead me to something better, something Ainsley couldn't steal. But first, I had a meeting to prepare for. The Whitfield Tower will redefine our city's skyline. Isaiah gestured at the blueprints spread across the conference room table. And I want you to lead it, Emily. I tried to keep my hands from shaking as I traced the preliminary sketches. This wasn't just a building. It was a 40-story statement of innovation and sustainability, the kind of project architects dream about. Why me? I asked. There must be dozens of more experienced... I've seen your work, Isaiah interrupted. That sustainable housing concept Cynthia showed me, that's exactly the fresh perspective we need. He leaned forward. This is a chance to make history, Emily. Are you in? Absolutely. The word came out before I could overthink it. Perfect. Isaiah stood, straightening his tie. Team meeting in 10 minutes. Time to meet your crew. I followed him down the sleek hallway, my heels clicking against marble floors. After a sleepless night in my new apartment, this felt surreal. Yesterday, I'd lost everything. Today, I was about to lead the biggest project of my career. Isaiah pushed open the glass doors to the main conference room. Everyone, meet your new project lead. The words died in my throat. There, sitting among the faces turning to greet me, was Ainsley. Our eyes met. Her perfect composure slipped for just a second, showing the same shock I felt. Then her mask was back, professional smile firmly in place. "Emily," she said smoothly. "What a surprise." Isaiah looked between us. "You two know each other?" "We've worked together before," I said before Ainsley could speak. Two could play at this game. The next hour was torture. I introduced myself, outlined my vision for the project, and assigned initial tasks, all while pretending my sister wasn't sitting there, wearing another expensive outfit bought with my stolen money. After the meeting, Cynthia pulled me into her office. "You didn't tell me Ainsley worked here." "I didn't know." I collapsed into a chair. "She must have started recently. God, Cynthia, what am I going to do?" "Your job," she said firmly. "You earned this position. Don't let her take this from you, too." A knock at the door made us both jump. It was Kinley Whitfield, our client, elegant in a power suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Emily," she smiled warmly, "Isaiah speaks highly of you. Do you have a moment?" I followed her to her temporary office, trying to look more confident than I felt. She settled behind her desk, studying me. "I'll be direct," she said. "This project means everything to my company. I need to know you can handle it." "I can," I said firmly. "My team—" "About your team," she interrupted. "That young woman, Ainsley, she's been pushing some interesting ideas, very ambitious." My stomach churned. Of course, Ainsley had already started networking with the client. "I'm familiar with her work," I said carefully. "Good," Kinley smiled. "Because she'll be your primary liaison with my office. I think you two will work well together." I managed to maintain my professional smile until I reached the bathroom. Then I gripped the sink, fighting back tears of frustration. The door swung open. Ainsley walked in, checking her lipstick in the mirror. "Congratulations on the promotion," she said casually. "Though I have to wonder how you managed it without Aunt Caroline's money. Unlike you, I earn things honestly." She turned to face me. "You know, I was surprised to see you here. I thought you'd be too busy filing police reports." "Don't worry," I straightened, meeting her gaze. "I found a better way to handle things." "Oh?" Her eyebrow arched. "And what's that?" "You'll see." I moved toward the door, then paused. "By the way, Ainsley, I noticed some errors in your preliminary reports. Fix them before tomorrow's review." Her face flushed. "You can't—" "I'm your supervisor now," I cut her off. "I can and I will. Welcome to the real world, sis." I left her standing there, satisfaction warming my chest. Back at my new desk, I found a message from Trey, Ainsley's friend from the marketing department. "Heard about the family reunion," he wrote. "Need a drink after work?" "God, yes," I replied. My computer pinged with another message, this time from Isaiah. He wanted the first design presentation by Friday. 3 days to prove I deserved this position. I opened my design software, pushing thoughts of Ainsley aside. She'd stolen my inheritance, but she couldn't steal my talent or my determination. "Emily," Cynthia appeared at my door. "Kinley wants to discuss the environmental impact reports." I grabbed my tablet, squaring my shoulders. "Let's go." As I walked past Ainsley's desk, I saw her struggling with the corrections I'd requested. For the first time since the inheritance theft, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe karma was real after all. "You're pushing her too hard," Cynthia warned, sliding a coffee across my desk. "The sustainability analysis you assigned Ainsley, that's senior architect level work." "She wanted to play in the big leagues," I replied, reviewing Ainsley's latest report. Red marks covered nearly every page. Now she gets to prove herself. "This isn't about proving anything, it's about revenge." Before I could respond, Trey appeared in my doorway, his usually cheerful face serious. "Emily, we need to talk about Ainsley's workload. Not you too." I rubbed my temples. "She has the same assignments as everyone else." "Really?" He dropped a stack of papers on my desk. "Because I've seen everyone's task lists. You're giving her the most complex calculations, the tightest deadlines. If she can't handle it, she shouldn't be on this project. She's been here until midnight every night this week." "That's not my problem." But even as I said it, something twisted in my gut. The dark circles under Ainsley's eyes hadn't escaped my notice. Trey leaned forward. Look, I get it. She hurt you. But this isn't you, Emily. You don't know me, I snapped. I know you used to help her with her math homework. I know you stayed up all night when she had the flu senior year. I know. That was before she stole my future. The office went quiet. I'd spoken louder than intended, and through the glass walls I could see several heads turn our way, including Ainsley's. Cynthia closed my office door. Emily, listen to yourself. You're letting this consume you. Meeting in 5 minutes. Isaiah's voice carried through the office. Bring the updated designs. I gathered my materials, avoiding both Cynthia and Trey's concerned looks. In the conference room, Ainsley sat as far from me as possible, her hands shaking slightly as she arranged her papers. All right, team, Isaiah began. Kinley's arriving in 20 minutes. Where are we with the environmental impact studies? All eyes turned to Ainsley. She stood fumbling with her presentation. The calculations show, the sustainability metrics indicate. She trailed off, staring at her numbers. Is there a problem? Isaiah asked. Ainsley's voice cracked. I need more time to verify the data. More time? Kinley's voice cut through the room. None of us had heard her enter. I thought these reports were ready. Ainsley's face went pale. They will be. I just need to double-check. Ms. Whitfield, I interrupted, standing. I can explain the current findings. For the next 15 minutes, I walked through the environmental impact analysis, covering for Ainsley's incomplete work. I knew these calculations inside out. I'd done similar ones for my sustainable housing project. After the meeting, Kinley pulled me aside. Impressive save, though I'm concerned about your team's preparation. It won't happen again, I assured her. See that it doesn't. This project can't afford mistakes. I found Ainsley in the break room, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee. For a moment, I saw the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. You're lucky I could cover for you, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Lucky? She looked up, eyes red-rimmed. You set me up to fail. I gave you work you claimed you could handle. Because you knew I couldn't. She stood abruptly, coffee sloshing over the rim. You're trying to humiliate me, to prove a point. The only point here is that actions have consequences. Like you're so perfect? Her voice rose. You think I don't know about the calls from debt collectors? The maxed-out credit cards? At least I'm doing something with the money. By sabotaging my career? By investing in my future, something you never had the guts to do. We were attracting attention again. Through the glass, I could see Cynthia watching with concern. Fix those calculations, I said quietly, or I'll have to report your performance to Isaiah. You wouldn't. Try me. I turned to leave, but her next words stopped me cold. Aunt Caroline would be ashamed of you right now. The rage that filled me was instant and overwhelming. I spun around, ready to unleash years of pent-up resentment, but Cynthia appeared between us. Emily, Kinley needs you. Now. I let her lead me away, my hands shaking with suppressed emotion. This has to stop, Cynthia said once we were alone. You're both going to destroy yourselves, and this project. She started this. And you're finishing it? Cynthia shook her head. The Emily I know builds things. She doesn't tear them down. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from Isaiah. Progress review tomorrow. All team members, no exceptions. I looked through the glass at Ainsley, now bent over her desk, frantically working on those calculations. The satisfaction I'd expected to feel was replaced by something else, something that felt uncomfortably like guilt. Maybe Cynthia was right. Maybe we were both losing ourselves in this war. But I was too far in to stop now. Wasn't I? The progress review was a disaster. Ainsley's hands trembled as she presented her revised calculations, dark circles prominent under her eyes. She'd clearly been up all night, but it wasn't enough. These numbers still don't add up, Isaiah said, frowning at the screen. The energy efficiency ratings are inconsistent with the building's design parameters. I can explain, Ainsley started, but her voice cracked. She reached for her water bottle, knocking it over instead. Water spilled across her papers, bleeding the ink into unreadable smudges. The room fell silent. I watched her trying to salvage the wet documents, and suddenly I was 12 again, watching 9-year-old Ainsley cry over spilled paint on her art project. I'd helped her recreate it that night, staying up until dawn to finish. Perhaps, Kinley said, breaking the silence, we should take a brief recess. As everyone filed out, Ainsley remained frozen, staring at the ruined papers. Without thinking, I stayed behind. Here, I handed her some tissues. Start with the edges first. She looked up, surprise replacing the panic in her eyes. Why are you helping me? I'm not, I stopped, noticing something in her calculations. Wait, you're using the wrong formula here. The sustainability matrix needs to account for solar gain. What? I pulled up a chair, pointing to the numbers. Look, you're calculating total energy output, but you need to factor in the seasonal variations, like when we used to track the sunlight for Mom's garden, remember? A ghost of a smile crossed her face. You made me graph everything. I hated it. You still got the best tomatoes in the neighborhood. For a moment, we were just sisters again, sharing a memory. Then reality crashed back as Isaiah returned. Everything all right in here? Ainsley straightened, professional mask back in place. Yes, sir. Emily was just clarifying some calculations. Good, because we need these numbers finalized by tomorrow. The board presentation... Board presentation? I interrupted. I thought that was next week. They moved it up, and they're considering internal promotions based on this project's success. He gave us both a meaningful look before leaving. Ainsley's expression changed. A promotion? Don't even think about it, I warned, standing up. You can barely handle your current responsibilities. I can handle anything you throw at me, she shot back, but her voice wavered. I gathered my things, pausing at the door. Prove it. Redo those calculations. Correctly this time. Back at my desk, I found an old photo had fallen from my planner. Ainsley and me at her college graduation, both smiling, her arms thrown around my neck. I'd paid for her cap and gown with my overtime money. You're still wearing it, Cynthia said, making me jump. She pointed to my wrist, where Ainsley's graduation gift, a simple silver bracelet, still rested. I forgot to take it off, I muttered, but we both knew it was a lie. The board's looking for someone to head their new sustainability division, she said casually. Triple the salary, corner office. Why are you telling me this? Because I saw you in there, helping her. The real you slipped out for a minute. My phone buzzed. A text from Trey. Ainsley's crying in the bathroom again. This has to stop. I'm not the bad guy here, I said, but the words felt hollow. No? Cynthia picked up the graduation photo. Then why does it feel like you're both losing? Before I could respond, Kinley appeared. Emily, a word? In her office, she got straight to the point. I'm concerned about the team dynamics. Everything's fine. Don't insult my intelligence. She leaned forward. I've built my career reading people. You and Ainsley? There's history there. Bad history. I stayed silent. Here's the thing, Emily. You're brilliant. Your designs are revolutionary. But if personal drama compromises this project... She left the threat unspoken. Walking back to my office, I passed Ainsley's desk. She was on the phone, voice tight with stress. Please, just another week. No, I understand the payment terms, but yes, I know how much I owe. I stopped, recognizing the tone of someone drowning in debt. The same tone I'd used countless times before Aunt Caroline's inheritance was supposed to save me. Back at my desk, I pulled up Ainsley's latest design contributions. Behind the errors and rushed work, I saw flashes of genuine talent, ideas that could work with the right guidance. My computer pinged, an email about the board presentation. The promotion would change everything, a way out of my own financial mess, a chance to prove myself. But as I looked at the graduation photo, another memory surfaced. Ainsley at 6, holding my hand on her first day of school. Don't let go, Emmy, she'd begged. I'm scared. I won't, I'd promised. Big sisters don't let go. Except I had. We both had. My phone buzzed again, Isaiah requesting the final presentation materials. I looked through the glass at Ainsley, still on the phone, shoulders slumped in defeat. The promotion could be my revenge, my justice, or it could be something else entirely. I just had to decide which sister I wanted to be. You need to see this, Trey said, dropping a stack of papers on my desk after hours. The office was empty except for us and the cleaning crew. I'm busy with the board presentation. These are Ainsley's bank statements. I pushed them away. I don't want to see... Look at them, Emily, please. Reluctantly, I glanced at the top page. Multiple overdraft fees, loan payments, credit card bills with astronomical interest rates. She's drowning, Trey said quietly. The inheritance money? Most of it went to pay off your parents' mortgage. They were about to lose the house. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Your dad's business was failing. They'd refinanced 3 times. Ainsley found out when she overheard them talking about bankruptcy. I remembered Dad's mysterious business trips last year, Mom's forced cheerfulness, the way they'd stopped hosting family dinners. Why didn't they tell me? The same reason you never told them about your student loan struggles. Trey sat down. Pride, protection, pick one. But why didn't Ainsley just tell me the truth? Would you have agreed to give up your dream project money to save their house? I wanted to say yes, but we both knew the truth. That sustainable housing initiative had been everything to me. She's not sleeping, Trey continued, barely eating. Between the project workload and the guilt. Guilt? I laughed bitterly. She doesn't feel guilty. Really? He pulled out his phone, showing me a text conversation. Ainsley's messages were time-stamped 3 a.m., filled with self-loathing and regret. I destroyed my relationship with Emily forever, one read, but I couldn't let Mom and Dad lose everything. My throat tightened. She still had no right. A crash from the hallway interrupted us. We rushed out to find Ainsley on the floor, surrounded by scattered papers and her broken laptop. I'm fine, she said quickly, trying to stand, but she swayed, grabbing the wall for support. When's the last time you ate? Trey demanded. I had coffee. Coffee isn't food, Ains. I have to finish these revisions, she mumbled. The board presentation is in 2 days, I found myself saying, and you're no good to anyone if you collapse. They both looked at me in surprise. Come on, I sighed. There's a diner around the corner. We'll get food and then... I hesitated. Then we need to talk. 20 minutes later, we sat in a worn booth, Ainsley picking at a grilled cheese sandwich while I stirred my coffee. Why didn't you tell me about Mom and Dad? I finally asked. She stared at her plate. You were so excited about your project. Every time you talked about it, your whole face lit up. I couldn't... So you decided stealing was better? I decided saving our parents from homelessness was better. She pushed her plate away. You don't know what it was like finding Dad crying in his office, watching Mom try to sell her jewelry. I had to do something. We could have figured it out together. Like you figured out your student loans, your credit card debt? She met my eyes. I saw the bills, Emily. You were drowning, too. I fell silent, remembering those desperate years of juggling payments, eating ramen, working multiple jobs. I know what I did was wrong, Ainsley whispered. I hate myself for it every day, but I'd do it again to keep our family from falling apart. And now you're falling apart instead. She wiped her eyes. I'm fine. No, you're not, and neither am I. I pulled out my phone, showing her the promotion email. The board's looking for someone to head their sustainability division. You deserve it, she said quietly. You're brilliant, Emily. Always have been. So are you. I surprised myself by meaning it. When you're not trying to prove something, your designs are innovative, different. She laughed weakly. Is this where you tell me you're firing me? No. I took a deep breath. This is where I tell you I'm going to help you fix those calculations. Properly this time. Her fork clattered to the table. What? The promotion isn't worth destroying what's left of us, and maybe... I twisted the silver bracelet on my wrist. Maybe it's time we both stopped drowning. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, Emmy, for everything. I know. I reached across the table, squeezing her hand. We've got a lot to work through, but right now you need to eat that sandwich. We have a presentation to save. Trey, who'd been quietly watching, smiled. Does this mean no more midnight crying sessions? Shut up. Ainsley threw a napkin at him, laughing through her tears. As we left the diner, my phone buzzed. A text from Cynthia. Sometimes the biggest victories aren't the ones we plan for. Looking at Ainsley, exhausted but finally eating, I thought about Aunt Caroline, about family, about forgiveness. Maybe the real inheritance wasn't the money at all. Maybe it was the chance to rebuild what we'd broken. No, absolutely not. Kinley slammed her hand on the conference table. We are not redesigning the entire west facade 12 hours before the board presentation. I shared a worried glance with Ainsley. We'd been working through the night, our temporary truce tested by endless coffee and mounting pressure. Now, at 7 a.m., our client was threatening to derail everything. The current design doesn't maximize natural light, Kinley continued pacing. The board won't approve it. But changing it now would compromise the structural integrity, I argued. Then fix it, Kinley snapped. That's what I'm paying you for. After she stormed out, Ainsley slumped in her chair. We're screwed. No, I pulled up our design software. We're not. Remember that solution you proposed last week? The one with the stepped windows? Her eyes widened. You said it was too risky. It was, but right now, risky might be our only option. For the next hour, we reworked the design, our old rhythm returning surprisingly easily. Ainsley's creative approach balanced my technical precision, just like when we used to build elaborate blanket forts as kids. There, Ainsley pointed at the screen. If we angle the panels like this, we can increase light penetration without compromising support, I finished. It could work. Could? Isaiah appeared behind us, making us both jump. We need better than could for the board. It will work, I said firmly, but we need the whole team. Isaiah studied us for a moment, then nodded. You have 4 hours. The office transformed into organized chaos. Trey coordinated with contractors, running cost analyses. Cynthia helped us refine the technical specifications. Even the cleaning staff pitched in, keeping us supplied with coffee and snacks. Your calculations were right, I told Ainsley as we fine-tuned the design. About the solar gain, I just didn't want to admit it. She looked up, surprised. Really? Really? You see things differently than I do. Maybe that's not bad? A small smile crossed her face. Remember when I redesigned your treehouse blueprints? You added a secret trap door, I laughed. Dad nearly had a heart attack. But it worked. Yeah, I said softly. It did. The moment was interrupted by Kinley's return. She studied our new design in silence, her expression unreadable. Well, I asked finally. It's unexpected. She turned to face us. Bold, innovative, possibly brilliant or completely insane. Sometimes those are the same thing, Ainsley said. Kinley's lips twitched. You sound like my daughter. She straightened her jacket. Make it work. The board meets it too. As she left, Isaiah called everyone together. 4 teams, 2 hours. Emily, Ainsley, you're presenting. Both of us? Ainsley asked. Problem with that? We looked at each other. No, I said. No problem. The next 2 hours passed in a blur of last-minute adjustments and presentation prep. At one point, I found Ainsley in the break room, practicing her part. You're rushing the sustainability metrics, I said. I know, what if I mess up again? You won't. I handed her a granola bar. But eat something first. You're still too pale. She took it, hesitating. Emily, if this works, about the promotion, let's just get through today. The boardroom was intimidating, all dark wood and stern faces. As we set up our presentation, I noticed Ainsley's hands shaking slightly. Under the table, I reached over and squeezed her hand once, like I used to do before her school plays. She squeezed back. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, we'd like to present a revolutionary approach to the Whitfield Tower design. For the next 30 minutes, we tag-teamed the presentation. Ainsley handled the creative vision while I covered the technical details. When questions came, we fielded them together, our different perspectives creating a more complete picture. This is unusual, one board member said finally, but impressive, very impressive. Kinley was beaming. Isaiah looked proud. Even Cynthia, watching from the back, was wiping her eyes. As we packed up, Ainsley turned to me. That felt right, I suggested. Yeah. She fiddled with her presentation notes. Listen, about the promotion. Mrs. Stanley? A board member approached. Both of you, we'd like to discuss something. We followed him to a smaller conference room where several board members waited. We've been considering the new sustainability division, he began, and after today's presentation, we'd like to propose something different. I held my breath. We'd like to offer you both positions. Co-directors, your different approaches, working together, could be exactly what this company needs. Ainsley and I stared at each other, months of anger and hurt colliding with decades of sisterhood. Well, he asked, what do you say? The answer, I realized, would change everything, again. But this time, we'd face it together. Co-directors? I paced Cynthia's office after the meeting. It's insane. We can barely work together on one project. You did today, she pointed out. That was different. We were desperate. Were you? She raised an eyebrow. Or did you finally stop fighting each other and start fighting for something? Before I could respond, Ainsley burst in. We need to talk. I'll give you two some privacy, Cynthia said, heading for the door. No, stay, Ainsley said. Please, we might need a witness. I crossed my arms. A witness for what? Ainsley pulled an envelope from her bag. This is a cashier's check for the inheritance money. My heart stopped. What? I've been working with a financial advisor. Sold my car, my designer clothes, took out a loan. She held out the envelope. It's not all of it yet, but it's a start. My hands shook as I took it. Why now? Because I can't start something new while carrying old guilt. She met my eyes. I was wrong, Emily. So wrong. And I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I am asking for a chance to make it right. By throwing money at it? No. She took a deep breath. By being honest about everything. For the next hour, she laid it all out. The desperate phone call from Mom about the house, Dad's failing business, the mounting debts, her own struggles with feeling second best. I convinced myself I was doing the right thing, she said, wiping tears. That saving the house was worth losing my sister. But it wasn't. Nothing was worth that. Why didn't you just talk to me? Because you always fix everything. She stood, frustrated. You're the responsible one, the successful one. I wanted to be the hero for once, to prove I could solve problems too. By creating bigger ones? I know I screwed up everything, and now they're offering us this amazing opportunity and I don't deserve it and… Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. The office fell silent. Through the glass walls, I could see our colleagues trying not to stare. You're right, I said finally. You screwed up, massively, but maybe I did too. With the revenge, the impossible assignments. I became someone I didn't like very much. Cynthia cleared her throat. If I may, I've watched you both these past weeks. The anger, the competition, but also the potential. Today proved what you can accomplish together. It was one presentation, I argued. It was more than that, Ainsley said quietly. It was us, the real us, before money and jealousy and stupid pride got in the way. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Heard about your promotion opportunity, both of you, so proud. They know, Ainsley said, seeing my expression. I told them everything last night, about the inheritance, the house, all of it. How did they take it? Dad cried, Mom yelled. Then they both hugged me and said they'd rather lose the house than see their daughters destroy each other. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. They're selling the house anyway, moving to something smaller. They want us to focus on healing, not debt. I looked at the check in my hands, at my sister's tear-stained face, at the photo of us still sitting on my desk. The board wants an answer by tomorrow, I said. I know. She straightened. And whatever you decide, I'll respect it. If you want the position alone, it's yours. I can find another job. That's not… I stopped, frustrated. This isn't about the job anymore, is it? No, she whispered. It's not. Cynthia stood. I'm going to get coffee, lots of coffee. You two, figure this out. After she left, Ainsley and I stared at each other across the office. Years of love and hurt and competition hung between us. Remember when we were kids, I said slowly, and we'd build those crazy Lego cities? You always did the structure, I did the decorations. And they always worked better together than apart. She caught her breath. Emily, I'm still angry, I said firmly. This isn't a magical fix. We have a lot to work through. I know. And if we do this, there have to be rules, boundaries, complete honesty. Hope flickered in her eyes. Does that mean… It means I'm willing to try. For the project. For us. She started to smile, then stopped herself. What about the inheritance money? I looked at the check again. Keep it. Use it to pay back your loans. Consider it an investment in our future. Our future? Yeah. I managed a small smile. After all, Co-directors should start with a clean slate. She launched herself at me, hugging me fiercely. For a moment, I stiffened. Then slowly, I hugged her back. Outside the office, I saw Cynthia watching, coffee forgotten in her hands. She gave me a proud nod. Maybe we were crazy. Maybe this would all fall apart. But maybe, just maybe, we could build something stronger than before. Together. It's perfect, Kinley breathed, staring up at the nearly completed Whitfield Tower. Absolutely perfect. The morning sun caught the stepped windows of the west facade, sending ribbons of light dancing across the plaza. Around us, construction crews were putting the finishing touches on the sustainability features Ainsley and I had designed together. Not quite perfect, I said, checking my tablet. The solar panels on the south side still need adjusting. Always the perfectionist, Ainsley teased, joining us. The energy efficiency ratings are already exceeding projections. Speaking of projections, Kinley turned to face us. The board is very interested in expanding this design concept to other cities. My heart skipped. Other cities? They're calling it the future of sustainable architecture. Your future, specifically. She smiled. Assuming you're both interested? Ainsley and I exchanged glances. 6 months of working together as co-directors had taught us to read each other's expressions. We'll need to discuss it, I said carefully. Of course. Kinley checked her watch. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is in 2 hours. Try to decide before then? After she left, Ainsley and I walked the plaza, our heels clicking on the recycled glass pavement we'd insisted on using. Remember when we first saw this site? Ainsley asked. It was just an empty lot. Now it's going to change how cities think about sustainable development. I touched one of the living wall panels. All because you insisted on integrating vertical gardens, and because you figured out how to make them work structurally. She paused. We make a good team, don't we? When we're not trying to destroy each other, yeah, we do. A construction worker called us over to check some final details. As we worked, I noticed Ainsley kept checking her phone. Everything okay? Mom and Dad are on their way, she bit her lip. With some news about the house? My stomach tightened. Despite their plans to downsize, our parents had struggled to sell the family home. Good news or bad news? They wouldn't say, but she showed me her phone. Trey's been helping them with the listings. I smiled. Trey had become a regular at our weekly family dinners, his easy humor helping bridge the awkward moments as we rebuilt our relationships. Ms. Emily, a worker called down from above. We found something in the time capsule wall. During construction, we'd created a space for the community to leave messages for future generations. But this was different, an envelope with my name on it. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Aunt Caroline. How? I looked at Ainsley, who suddenly seemed very interested in her shoes. I found it in her things, she admitted. After everything. I asked Cynthia to help me hide it here, for today. With trembling fingers, I opened the letter. My dearest Emily, if you're reading this, you've completed your first major project. I always knew you would. Your talent isn't just in designing buildings, it's in building connections. Between spaces, between ideas, and most importantly, between people. Money can start dreams, but it can't sustain them. That takes something stronger. Something I see every time you help your sister with her homework, or when she makes you laugh after a hard day. Take care of each other. Build something wonderful together. All my love, Aunt Caroline. I wiped my eyes, smudging my mascara. You didn't read it? Ainsley shook her head. It wasn't mine to read. Before I could respond, our parents arrived. Mom was practically bouncing with excitement. We sold the house, she announced, to a lovely young family, and, she glanced at Dad. We found something perfect for us, a fixer-upper. A what? Ainsley and I said simultaneously. Dad grinned. We thought maybe our architect daughters could help us design some renovations, together. I looked at Ainsley, seeing my own smile reflected back. I think we can handle that. Speaking of handling things, Cynthia appeared, looking elegant despite the construction dust. The press is arriving for the ceremony. As we headed inside to prepare, Ainsley grabbed my arm. About Kinley's offer? The multi-city expansion? Are we ready for that? To take our partnership bigger? I thought about Aunt Caroline's letter, about connections and buildings and sisters who could be both rivals and allies. I think, I said slowly, that we're ready for anything, as long as we do it together. She hugged me quickly. I love you, Emmy. Love you too, brat. I pulled back. Now come on, we have a building to launch. The ceremony was a blur of speeches and photographs, but one moment stood crystal clear. Ainsley and I cutting the ribbon together, our free hands clasped between us. Above us, the tower we designed caught the light, sending it dancing across the city. Not just a building, but a bridge, between past and future, between sustainability and innovation, between two sisters who'd found their way back to each other. And as cameras flashed and applause thundered, I felt Aunt Caroline's presence, smiling down on the something wonderful we'd built together. Not just a tower reaching for the sky, but a foundation strong enough to support whatever came next.
I always thought my wedding day would be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the moment I finally understood that my sister would never let me have anything that was truly mine. My name is Tessa, and 5 years ago, I stood in front of the mirror in my wedding dress, trying to calm my nerves before walking down the aisle. That's when Jade burst into the bridal suite, practically glowing with excitement. "Tess, oh my God, I have the most amazing news." She grabbed my hands, bouncing on her toes like we were teenagers again. "I'm pregnant." The world stopped spinning for a moment. I stared at her, my mouth going dry. "What?" "I know, right? I just found out this morning." She twirled in her bridesmaid dress, her perfect curls bouncing. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just couldn't keep it in anymore. "Mom and Dad are going to flip." "Jade," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Could you maybe wait until tomorrow to tell everyone?" She looked at me like I'd suggested she jump off a bridge. "But everyone's here now, the whole family. It's perfect timing." Before I could respond, my mother rushed in. "Girls, we're almost ready to—" She stopped, noticing Jade's expression. "What's going on?" "Mom," Jade squealed, "I'm having a baby." What followed was exactly what I'd feared. My mother burst into tears, hugging Jade while I stood there in my wedding dress, forgotten. Within minutes, the news spread through the bridal party, then to the guests already seated in the church. "Antonio's waiting at the altar." Remington, my best friend and colleague, poked her head in. "But everyone's talking about—" She caught my eye and stopped. I gripped my bouquet tighter, the stems cracking under my fingers. "Let's just get this over with." The ceremony was a blur. As I walked down the aisle, I heard the whispers, saw the excited glances thrown at Jade instead of me. Even during our vows, I caught my father looking at her, beaming with pride. At the reception, my father's speech somehow became more about his upcoming grandchild than his daughter's marriage. "And while we're celebrating one blessing today," he said, raising his glass, "we've been doubly blessed with the news of our first grandchild." The crowd erupted in cheers. Jade stood up, basking in the attention, while I sat there in my white dress, feeling invisible. "You okay?" Antonio squeezed my hand under the table. I forced a smile. "Of course, it's wonderful news." Later during the father-daughter dance, Dad couldn't help himself. "Your sister's going to need you more than ever now," he said. "You've always been the responsible one, Tessa, the steady one." The steady one, the responsible one, never the special one. "I know, Dad," I replied, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. The night wore on, and every conversation somehow circled back to Jade's news. Even my new mother-in-law cornered me to gush about how exciting it was to have a wedding and a baby announcement on the same day. Around midnight, I found myself hiding in the venue's bathroom, staring at my reflection. Remington found me there. "Want me to kill her?" she offered, only half joking. "I know people." I laughed despite myself. "She's pregnant. We can't kill a pregnant woman." "Fine, we'll wait 9 months. She handed me a tissue. "You know this is messed up, right? You're allowed to be angry." "What's the point?" I wiped my eyes carefully, preserving what was left of my makeup. This is just how it's always been. Jade does whatever Jade wants, and everyone acts like it's perfectly normal. It's not normal, Tess. It's... My phone buzzed, interrupting her. Mom's name flashed on the screen. If that's another excited update about Jade's morning sickness, I swear to God, Remington muttered. I answered, expecting exactly that. But my mother's voice was different this time, shaky, afraid. Tessa, are you sitting down? There's something we need to talk about. I caught Remington's eye, my heart suddenly racing. Mom, what's wrong? It's about Jade, she said, and for once, the mention of my sister's name didn't fill me with resignation. This time, it filled me with dread. The bathroom door swung open, letting in the muffled sound of the reception's music and laughter. I gripped the phone tighter, knowing somehow that whatever came next would change everything. Mom, I pressed. What about Jade? Her voice cracked. We need you to come home, right away. 5 years after my wedding, I sat in my parents' living room, staring at my sister's medical file spread across the coffee table. The same sister who had stolen my wedding spotlight was now dying of kidney failure. Both kidneys are failing, my mother explained, her voice trembling. The doctors say she needs a transplant within the next 6 months. And you've called me because... I already knew the answer, but I needed to hear it. Dad leaned forward in his armchair. You're the only match, Tessa. We've all been tested. Your mother, me, even some of Jade's close friends, but you're the only viable donor. The irony wasn't lost on me. After years of Jade taking everything from me, my body held the one thing she desperately needed. Where is she? I asked, noticing the unusual quiet in the house. At the hospital, Mom replied. She's been there for 3 days. The dialysis it's not going well. I picked up one of the medical reports, my therapy training helping me maintain a professional demeanor. And she knows you're asking me? She doesn't want us to, Dad admitted. She says she doesn't deserve to ask you for anything. Well, she's right about that. The words came out sharper than I intended. Tessa, Mom started, but I cut her off. No, let's be honest for once. When was the last time Jade considered my feelings about anything? The wedding? The countless birthdays she hijacked? That scholarship she took even though she knew I'd been working toward it for years? That was a long time ago, Dad defended. People change. My phone buzzed, a text from Antonio. Everything okay? Need backup? I typed back quickly. Not yet. We'll call soon. Tessa, Mom reached for my hand. I know things haven't always been fair. I pulled away. Fair? Mom, she announced her pregnancy at my wedding day. And she lost that baby 2 months later, Dad reminded me quietly. Maybe that's why she's been the way she is. She was like this long before that happened. I stood up, pacing the familiar living room. And you both enabled it. Still do. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken truths. Through the window, I watched our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, watering her roses, the same roses I'd helped her plant when I was 12, while Jade was inside charming our parents into buying her a new phone. My phone buzzed again, this time from Remington. Remember, you don't owe anyone anything. Your body, your choice. The procedure, I finally said, turning back to my parents. What does it involve? Mom's face lit up with hope. The doctors can explain everything. It's very safe nowadays. I haven't said yes, I interrupted. I'm just asking. Dad stood up, approaching me carefully. Sweetheart, I know this is a lot to process, but she's your sister. Is she? I met his eyes. Because from where I'm standing, she's been more like a tornado that keeps destroying everything in my life while you two clean up after her. That's not fair, Mom protested. No, I picked up my purse. Tell me, if the situations were reversed, would Jade donate her kidney to me? Neither of them answered. They didn't have to. I need time to think, I said, heading for the door. She doesn't have much time, Tessa, Dad called after me. I paused at the doorway, my hand on the knob. For once in her life, Jade will have to wait for something she wants. That night, I dreamed of my wedding day again, but this time, when Jade announced her pregnancy, I didn't stay quiet. In the dream, I turned to her and said what I should have said 5 years ago. No, not today. Not everything gets to be about you. I woke up with tears on my face and Antonio's arms around me. You were talking in your sleep, he murmured. I was? Mm-hmm. You said no over and over. I sat up checking my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and a text from an unknown number that made my heart stop. Tessa, it's Jade. I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but please, if you can find it in your heart to hear me out, I'm in room 415 at Memorial Hospital. I understand if you don't come. I wouldn't come if I were you. Antonio read the message over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I stared at the phone, feeling the weight of power shift for the first time in our relationship. I'm going to make her earn it. Earn what? My forgiveness, I said, getting out of bed. And my kidney. For the first time since my wedding day, I felt completely in control. Jade needed something only I could give her, and for once, she'd have to play by my rules. You're seriously considering this? Remington set her coffee mug down hard enough to make the break room table shake. We were between therapy sessions at the clinic where we both worked, and I'd just told her about my plan. Not considering. I've decided. I pulled up Jade's Instagram on my phone, still perfectly curated despite her illness, showing her hospital room transformed into what looked like a luxury hotel suite. Look at this, even dying she's performing. Remington leaned over. 200,000 likes on a hospital selfie? Your sister's really something else. She's an influencer now. Everything's content. I scrolled through the comments. So brave. Stay strong, Queen. Praying for you. If they only knew. And you want her to tell them? I want her to tell everyone the truth about everything. I locked my phone. That's my price. Antonio's voice came from the doorway. The truth about what, exactly? I turned to find my husband watching me with concern. He worked as a pediatrician in the same medical complex, and our lunch breaks often overlapped. About who she really is, I said. About what she's done. He sat down, unwrapping his sandwich. Tess, I get it, but using your kidney as leverage? That's cruel, I finished. More cruel than what she did to me? 2 wrongs don't make a right, he said gently. Remington snorted. No, but 3 lefts do. Sometimes people need a wake-up call. My next patient's file buzzed on my phone. Sarah, 16, struggling with an emotionally manipulative sister. The irony wasn't lost on me. I need to get back. I stood up. But think about it. Jade has built her whole brand on being this perfect, inspiring person. Maybe it's time her followers saw the real her. In my office, I couldn't focus on Sarah's session. As she talked about her sister's latest betrayal, I kept seeing parallels to my own situation. And then she told everyone at school that I tried to steal her boyfriend. Sarah wiped her eyes. But I didn't. He asked me for help with his college applications, that's all. I handed her a tissue. How did that make you feel? Like I wanted to hurt her back, Sarah admitted. Is that terrible? No, I said, perhaps too quickly. It's human to want justice. After Sarah left, I sat at my desk, staring at the degrees on my wall. Family therapist. Here I was, supposedly an expert in healing family relationships, plotting revenge against my own sister. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Jade's asking for you. Please come see her. I typed back. I'll come tomorrow. I have conditions. The response was immediate. Conditions? Tessa, she's your sister. Yes, and I'm her only hope. Tell her to be ready to talk at 10 a.m. That evening, I rehearsed what I'd say to Jade. Antonio found me pacing in our kitchen, talking to myself. You sound like you're preparing for court, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. Maybe I am, the court of public opinion. He turned me to face him. What happens if she says no? Then she doesn't get my kidney. And you could live with that? I pulled away. Could you live with letting someone who hurt you over and over just take a piece of you without any accountability? She's dying, Tess. She's been killing me slowly for years. The words echoed in our kitchen. Every time she took something that mattered to me, every time she made me feel small, every time our parents chose her, she's been killing the person I could have been. Antonio was quiet for a long moment. Just make sure this is really about accountability and not revenge. I went to bed early but couldn't sleep. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Hi, Tessa. This is Jennifer, Jade's old roommate from college. I heard about what's happening. There are some things you should know. I sat up, fully awake now. Jennifer had been Jade's best friend until they had a mysterious falling out 3 years ago. No one knew what happened, and Jade had blocked Jennifer on all social media. I'm listening, I typed back. Not over text. Can we meet? There's a lot you don't know about your sister. I thought about it for a moment. Coffee shop on 5th Street, 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be there, and Tessa, don't let her manipulate you. Not again. I lay back down, my mind racing. What did Jennifer know? What else had Jade done that I didn't know about? Tomorrow, I'd meet Jennifer. Then I'd face my sister and lay out my terms. For once, Jade would have to face the consequences of her actions. As I finally drifted off, I thought about Sarah, my young patient, and her desire for justice. Sometimes I realized the kindest thing we can do for someone is to make them face their own truth, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts. Jennifer was already waiting when I arrived at the coffee shop, nervously shredding a napkin. She looked different from the polished sorority girl I remembered, more serious, with dark circles under her eyes. Thanks for meeting me, she said as I sat down. I've been following Jade's social media posts about her condition. You mean her perfectly filtered hospital photo shoots? Jennifer's laugh was bitter. Some things never change. Did you know she stole my boyfriend's senior year? I blinked. What? That's not even the worst part. She pulled out her phone. I've kept everything. Screenshots, texts, emails. I thought someday I'd need proof. She slid the phone across the table. What I saw made my coffee turn cold in my stomach. Screenshots of Jade's messages to Jennifer's then-boyfriend, dating back to when they were roommates. But it wasn't just about the boyfriend. There were messages about business ideas Jennifer had shared with Jade in confidence, which later became Jade's original social media ventures. She built her whole influencer career on stolen ideas. Jennifer's voice cracked. My ideas. And when I confronted her, she turned all our friends against me, said I was jealous, unstable. Classic Jade, I muttered. There's more. Jennifer took her phone back, scrolling. Remember your wedding? The pregnancy announcement? How could I forget? She wasn't pregnant. The world stopped. What? She bought a positive test online, planned the whole thing weeks in advance. I found the receipt in our apartment. Jennifer's hands shook. 2 months later, when she claimed she lost the baby, there was never any baby to lose. I gripped the table's edge, feeling sick. Why are you telling me this now? Because I saw your parents' post asking for kidney donors, and She met my eyes. I couldn't let her take something else from you without you knowing the whole truth. My phone buzzed. Mom, where are you? Jade's waiting. I have to go. I stood up. Thank you, Jennifer, for everything. Tessa? She caught my arm. Make her pay. The hospital corridor seemed longer than usual as I walked to Jade's room. My parents were waiting outside. Finally, Mom started, but I walked past her without a word. Jade lay in her hospital bed, somehow still managing to look Instagram ready despite the IV lines. Her eyes widened when she saw my expression. Everyone out, I said quietly. Now, Tessa, Dad began. Out. They left, closing the door behind them. Jade and I stared at each other in silence. You look good, she tried. Shut up. I pulled out my phone, showing her Jennifer's screenshots. Want to explain? Her face went pale. You talked to Jennifer? Fake pregnancy announcement at my wedding? Stealing her ideas? Tell me, Jade, is there anything real about you? I can explain. No. I cut her off. For once in your life, you're gonna listen. I have your matching kidney. If you want it, here are my terms. She swallowed hard, nodding. You're gonna post a video. A real one. No filters, no script. You're gonna tell your followers everything. The wedding, Jennifer, all of it. Every lie, every manipulation. That would destroy my career, she whispered. Should have thought about that before you built it on lies. Please, Tessa. I'm not finished. After the video, you're going to tell Mom and Dad everything, too. They deserve to know who they've been defending all these years. Tears rolled down her cheeks. They'll hate me. Welcome to my world. A nurse knocked, entering with medication. I stood up to leave. You have until tomorrow to decide, I said. Your kidney, your choice. In the hallway, my parents waited anxiously. What's going on? Mom demanded. Jade's crying. Ask her, I replied. For once in your lives, ask her the real questions. I was halfway to the elevator when Jade's voice came over the hospital PA system. Tessa, wait, please come back. People in the hallway turned to stare. I kept walking. I'll do it. Her voice echoed through the building. I'll tell everyone everything. Just please, please don't leave. I stopped, my hand on the elevator button. Behind me, I heard confused murmurs from hospital staff and visitors. My parents stood frozen in the hallway, looking bewildered. Slowly, I turned around. Jade had dragged herself and her IV pole to her doorway, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. You're right, about everything. I'll do whatever you want. Just, please don't let me die. For the first time in our lives, I saw my sister without her carefully constructed mask. No filters, no performance, just raw, desperate truth. I walked back toward her room, past our shocked parents, past the staring nurses. Get your phone, I told her. It's time to start filming. Hey, everyone. Jade's voice trembled as she spoke to her phone's camera. No filters today, no editing, just truth. I stood in the corner of her hospital room, arms crossed, while our parents sat stunned in the visitors' chairs. The heart rate monitor beeped steadily in the background. I've built my entire social media presence on a lie, she continued. Actually, I've built my entire life on lies, and it's time to come clean. She glanced at me. I nodded for her to continue. 5 years ago at my sister's wedding, I announced I was pregnant. The truth is, I wasn't. Her voice cracked. I bought a fake test, planned the whole thing just to steal her spotlight, and when I pretended to lose the baby 2 months later, I used that for attention too. Mom gasped. Dad's face went ashen. But that's not all. Jade wiped her tears. My successful business ideas, stolen from my college roommate Jennifer, my perfect life, carefully curated lies. The confession went on for 15 minutes. With each revelation, our parents seemed to physically shrink in their chairs. When Jade finally finished, her follower count was already dropping by the thousands. Comments are coming in, she whispered, staring at her phone. Unfollow. Disgusting. Cancel her. She looked up at me. Happy now? Before I could answer, the door burst open. A hospital PR representative rushed in, looking panicked. Miss Brewer, we're getting calls from media outlets. This video is going viral. Good, I said. Not good, she countered. Your sister's medical condition is now public knowledge, and there are allegations of organ donation coercion. This could become a legal nightmare. My stomach dropped. I hadn't considered that angle. Mom finally found her voice. Jade, how could you? The pregnancy, the wedding? I'm sorry, Jade whispered. Sorry doesn't begin to cover it. Dad stood up, looking older than I'd ever seen him. We defended you. For years we defended you. Dad, no. He held up his hand. I can't even look at you right now. They left the room, Mom sobbing, Dad supporting her. The PR representative followed, already on her phone with damage control. Jade's phone kept buzzing with notifications. My sponsors are dropping me, she said numbly. Everything I built? You mean everything you stole? You've ruined my life. No, I corrected her. You ruined your life. I just made you admit it. A new notification popped up on her phone. She stared at it, then started laughing, a hollow, desperate sound. What? I asked. It's trending. Jade Brewer is over party. She showed me the screen. But look at the comments under it. I took the phone. Among the hate and cancellation posts were other stories. Women sharing their experiences with toxic siblings, stories of wedding disasters, stolen opportunities, family betrayals. You've started something, Jade said quietly, but maybe I can make it mean something. What are you talking about? She sat up straighter, wiping her eyes. What if I used this? Really used it? Not for attention or likes, but to start a conversation about accountability, about toxic family dynamics? I scoffed. More manipulation? No, she met my eyes. Real this time, raw, honest, a movement about owning our mistakes and making amends. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking. I could go live right now, talk about why I did what I did, about growing up always feeling like I needed to be the center of attention, about therapy, about change. And this has nothing to do with saving your image? It has everything to do with saving my life, not just the kidney, my actual life, being honest for once. She looked at me pleadingly. Will you help me? Before I could answer, Jennifer appeared in the doorway. I saw the video, she said. Everyone's seeing it. Jade's face crumpled. Jennifer, Save it. Jennifer walked in, pulling up a chair. But I heard what you just said about starting a movement, about accountability. She glanced at me. Maybe it's not the worst idea. My phone buzzed, a text from Antonio. Have you seen Twitter? This is bigger than you and Jade now. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Behind the fear and desperation, I saw something I'd never seen before, a glimmer of genuine remorse. If we do this, I said slowly, it has to be real. No more performances. Jade nodded eagerly. I promise. And you'll get professional help? Already asked the nurse for therapist recommendations. Jennifer and I exchanged looks. The heart monitor kept its steady rhythm as we stood on the edge of something that felt bigger than our personal drama. Okay, I finally said, let's go live. We're trending in 27 countries, Remington announced, walking into Jade's hospital room with her laptop. 2 weeks had passed since the initial confession video, and what started as a scandal had evolved into something none of us expected. The Today Show called again, Jennifer added, not looking up from her phone. She'd become our unofficial media coordinator. They want both of you on Monday. Jade adjusted her hospital bed to sit up straighter. Despite the dialysis treatments, she looked stronger, more present. Maybe it was the weight of secrets lifting from her shoulders. "What do you think?" she asked me. "Should we do it?" Before I could answer, a notification pinged on the room's TV, which was streaming comments from our latest live session. "My sister stole my college fund and my parents still defend her," Jade read aloud. "Your story gave me the courage to finally confront them." "That's the fifth story like that today," Jennifer noted. I watched another comment scroll past. "Started therapy because of searing sisterhood accountability. Thank you for showing me it's okay to set boundaries." "We should do the show," I decided. "But no makeup team, no wardrobe styling. We do this our way." Jade nodded. "Raw and real." A knock at the door interrupted us. Mom stood there, looking uncertain. "Can I come in?" The room fell silent. We hadn't seen our parents since the confession video. They'd been processing, according to their texts. "Of course," Jade said softly. Mom walked in slowly, taking in the laptops, phones, and makeshift media center we'd created in the hospital room. "I've been watching your videos," she said. "All of them. The lives, the discussions about family dynamics." She took a shaky breath. "I owe you both an apology." "Mom," Jade started. "No, let me finish." Mom pulled up a chair. "I failed you, Jade, by never holding you accountable. And Tessa," her voice broke, "I failed you by making you feel less important, less special. You were always the strong one because we never gave you a choice to be anything else." Remington quietly gathered her things. "We'll give you guys some space." She and Jennifer slipped out, leaving us with our mother. "Where's Dad?" I asked. "Still struggling," Mom admitted, "but he's watching too. He even joined one of those online support groups for parents dealing with family conflict." Jade's phone buzzed. Another media request. She ignored it. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said, "for making you and Dad look foolish, for manipulating everyone." "I'm sorry too," I added, "for using the kidney as leverage." "Don't apologize for that," Mom surprised us by saying. "Sometimes it takes something dramatic to break unhealthy patterns. Look what you've created." She gestured to the TV, where the hashtag Sisterhood Accountability was still trending. Stories poured in from around the world. Sisters confronting decades of rivalry, families beginning healing processes, people seeking therapy. "We're getting messages from psychologists wanting to contribute," I explained. "They're offering professional perspectives on sibling dynamics, family trauma." "And people are actually listening," Jade added. "Not just for the drama, but for the healing." A notification popped up on my phone, a message from one of my therapy clients. "Watched your live session with your sister. Finally told my parents about my brother's bullying. They're getting him help." Mom read it over my shoulder. "You two have started something important. We're thinking of turning it into a foundation," Jade said, "using my platform for actual good this time, supporting family therapy programs, funding counseling for people who can't afford it, with proper credit to the people whose ideas we use," I added pointedly. Jade managed a small smile. "Obviously." The door opened again. This time it was Antonio with lunch. "Brought enough for everyone," he said, then noticed Mom. "Oh, hello." "Stay," Mom stood up. "I should go anyway. Your father? We're having our first therapy session this afternoon." As she headed for the door, she turned back. "Girls, I'm proud of you. Both of you. For different reasons." After she left, we divided up the sandwiches Antonio brought. Jade picked at hers, looking thoughtful. "What is it?" I asked. "The Today Show appearance," she said. "I want to use it to announce something." "The foundation?" "No." She met my eyes. "I want to tell everyone that I'm declining your kidney." Antonio dropped his sandwich. What? I can't take it, Jade continued. Not even with the confession, not even with the movement we've started. It needs to be my choice to face consequences. I stared at my sister, this new version of her I was just getting to know. The doctors say I can survive on dialysis while I wait for another donor, she added. It might take years, but maybe I need those years to prove I've really changed. Antonio squeezed my hand as I processed this. You'd do that? I asked. Give up a guaranteed donation? Jade nodded. It's time I saved myself instead of taking from others. For the first time in our lives, I saw my sister clearly, and she saw herself. The Today Show studio was smaller than I expected. Jade sat beside me on the interview couch, both of us makeup-free as promised. The host, Maria, adjusted her earpiece as the producer counted down. 3, 2, 1. We're here with sisters Tessa and Jade, whose viral story about kidney donation and family accountability has sparked a global conversation. Maria began, Ladies, thank you for being here. Thank you for having us, I replied, feeling the heat of the studio lights. Jade, let's start with you. You're declining your sister's kidney donation. Why? Jade took a deep breath. Because true accountability means accepting consequences. I've spent my whole life taking from others, especially Tessa, taking her moments, her opportunities. I can't take her kidney too. Even if it means waiting years for another donor? Even then, Jade's voice was steady. Our movement, just sisterhood accountability, isn't just about confessing past wrongs. It's about doing the work to become better. Maria turned to me. Tessa, how do you feel about your sister's decision? Before I could answer, a commotion erupted backstage. Through the studio doors, I saw our father pushing past security. Sir, you can't, a producer started. Those are my daughters. Dad's voice carried across the set. Maria looked uncertainly at the cameras. Should we cut? No, I said, standing up. Let him come. Dad walked onto the set, looking lost under the bright lights. He hadn't shaved in days, and his eyes were red-rimmed. I'm sorry to interrupt, he said, but I've been watching everything from home, and I couldn't stay silent anymore. The studio was absolutely quiet. Even the cameramen seemed to be holding their breath. Dad? Jade's voice was small. He turned to face the cameras. I'm these girls' father, and I need to be part of this accountability movement too, because I failed them both. Maria, ever the professional, gestured to an empty chair. Would you like to join us? Dad sat down heavily. I watched my youngest daughter hurt my oldest daughter over and over, and instead of stopping it, I made excuses. I told Tessa to be understanding, to be the bigger person. I put the responsibility of keeping peace on a child who deserved to be protected. Tears rolled down Jade's cheeks. I felt my own eyes burning. And Jade, he continued, I failed you by never teaching you consequences. I thought I was showing love, but I was teaching you that it was okay to hurt people, that you wouldn't have to face the results of your actions. Maria handed him a tissue. You've been in therapy since this started? 3 times a week, Dad nodded, learning about enabling, about healthy family dynamics. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, looking at my own failures as a father. It wasn't all failures, I found myself saying. You loved us. Love isn't enough, he replied. You have to love people the right way, the way that helps them grow. Jade reached for his hand. Dad, no, let me finish. He straightened in his chair. I've made a decision too. I'm going to get tested as a kidney donor. What? Jade and I said simultaneously. You're my daughter, Jade. If anyone should make this sacrifice for you, it should be me, not your sister who you've already taken so much from. The studio lights suddenly felt too bright. Maria leaned forward, sensing the moment. Would you be willing to share this journey with our viewers? The testing process, the therapy, the healing of your family? I looked at Jade, then at our father. Something was shifting, like tectonic plates finally finding their proper alignment. Yes, Jade said firmly, but not as content, not as entertainment, as truth. Raw and real, I added, echoing our new motto. Dad squeezed Jade's hand. Together this time, the right way. Maria turned to the camera. We'll take a quick break and be right back with more from this extraordinary family. As soon as the red lights on the cameras went dark, Dad pulled both of us into a hug. It was awkward and tearful and real, everything our family had never allowed itself to be. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from Jennifer. Twitter's exploding. Your dad just took the Mauer sisterhood accountability to family accountability. Another message popped up from Remington. This is what healing looks like. Real, messy, unscripted healing. The producer started counting down again. We pulled apart, wiping our eyes. Ready to keep going? Maria asked gently. I looked at my sister and my father, seeing them clearly for perhaps the first time. No masks, no performances, no desperate grabs for attention or approval. Just three people doing the hard work of becoming better. Ready, we said together. The red lights blinked on, and we continued our story, not for views or likes or trending hashtags, but for truth, for healing, for hope. Testing complete, Dr. Rivera announced, looking up from her tablet. Congratulations, sir. You're a match. Dad gripped the arms of his chair in the consultation room. Jade reached for his hand while I sat nearby, still processing the news. What are the risks? Mom asked from her corner seat. Given his age and health, moderate, but manageable. Dr. Rivera turned to Dad. The choice is yours. No, Dad said firmly. The choice is Jade's. My sister looked startled. What do you mean? I'm offering my kidney, he explained. But you need to decide if you're ready to accept it. Really ready. The accountability movement we'd started had grown beyond us. Our foundation now funded therapy for hundreds of families. Support groups had sprung up worldwide. But this moment, this was still deeply personal. I've been in therapy for 3 months, Jade said slowly, working on my narcissistic tendencies, my need for attention, my history of manipulation. She squeezed Dad's hand. But I don't want to accept your kidney just to prove I've changed. Then why would you accept it? I asked. She met my eyes. Because I want to live, not for followers or fame or approval. Just live. Do better. Be better. Dr. Rivera cleared her throat. We don't need an answer today. You can... Yes, Jade interrupted. I accept, if you're sure, Dad. He nodded. I've never been more sure of anything. Mom started crying. Dr. Rivera began explaining the procedure schedule, but a commotion outside the office interrupted her. Jennifer burst in, waving her tablet. Sorry to interrupt, but you all need to see this. She pulled up a video that was trending. A teenage girl speaking directly to camera. Because of the Brewer Sisters movement, I finally told my parents about my brother's abuse. He's getting help now. We all are. Thank you for showing us that families can heal. Another video started automatically after it. Watching Jade decline her sister's kidney taught me that sometimes love means not taking something, even if it's offered. I finally stopped letting my mom guilt me into giving her money she'll never pay back. And another? My father's watching these videos about family accountability. Yesterday, he apologized to me for the first time in my life. The room fell silent as we watched story after story unfold. This is bigger than us now, I said quietly. But it started with us, Jade replied, with you forcing me to face myself. With you choosing to change. I corrected. Dad cleared his throat. Dr. Rivera, how soon can we schedule the surgery? Given the test results, we could do it next week. No, Jade said firmly. Not until after the Foundation's first family therapy retreat. I promised to speak there. I smiled, recognizing this new version of my sister, one who kept her commitments to others. 2 weeks then, Dr. Rivera made some notes. I'll have my team contact you with details. As we left the hospital, reporters were waiting outside. They'd been following our story since the Today Show appearance. Any comment on the test results? Is it true you're a match? Dad stepped forward. Yes, I'm a match, and yes, we're proceeding with the transplant. But more importantly, he looked at Jade and me. We're proceeding with healing, the right way this time. Later that evening, we gathered at my parents' house. Antonio brought dinner, Remington brought wine, and sparkling cider for Jade, who couldn't drink before surgery. And Jennifer brought her laptop to show us the latest foundation statistics. Over 10,000 families have signed up for sponsored therapy, she reported, and the accountability workshops are booked solid for 6 months. Speaking of accountability, Jade set down her glass. There's something I need to say. She turned to face me. Thank you, Tessa, not for offering your kidney, for refusing to let me have it without earning it, for making me face myself. You did the hard part, I said. No, she shook her head. You did the hard part for years, watching me take and take, being the understanding one. I'm sorry it took almost dying for me to see it. Mom wiped her eyes. We're all seeing things clearly now. To clarity, Antonio raised his glass. And to healing. To healing? We echoed. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah, my teenage patient. Saw your sister's latest video about choosing change. Finally stood up to my sister today. Thank you for showing me how. I showed the message to Jade. She smiled, a real smile, not her old camera-ready one. We're going to keep helping people, aren't we? She asked. Yes, I said, but this time we do it together, as equals. Dad wrapped an arm around each of us. Through the window, I could see Mrs. Patterson's roses blooming in the evening light, the same roses I'd helped plant all those years ago. Some things take time to grow, I realized. Some things have to break through hard ground to reach the sun. But with truth, with work, with real love, everything can bloom eventually, even us, especially us.
The first thing I noticed when I walked into my bedroom was the smell, a sickly sweet perfume that didn't belong to me. My sister Paisley's signature scent. I froze in the doorway, my carry-on bag slipping from my shoulder and hitting the hardwood floor with a thud. My name is Trinity, and I had just returned from a 3-month consulting project in Seattle, eager to surprise my family and fiancé, but something was wrong, very wrong. Hello, I called out, my voice echoing through our family's Victorian home. No answer. My room looked different. The photos on my dresser had been rearranged, and unfamiliar clothes peeked out from my closet. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. These weren't my clothes, they were Paisley's. What the hell? I muttered, yanking open drawers. My things were gone, replaced with my sister's belongings. The room I'd grown up in, my sanctuary, had been colonized. I grabbed my phone to call Colton, my fiancé, but stopped when I noticed a piece of paper sticking out from under the mattress. Pulling it free, I recognized Colton's messy handwriting. My dearest P, last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. 3 months without Trinity here has been heaven. The letter slipped from my trembling fingers. More papers scattered across the floor. Dozens of love letters between my sister and my fiancé. Trinity, is that you? My mother's voice floated up the stairs. I quickly gathered the letters, stuffing them into my bag. Yeah, Mom, just got back, I called down, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Oh, sweetie, we weren't expecting you until next week." She appeared in the doorway, perfect makeup, and pressed clothes, as always. "I hope you don't mind. We let Paisley use your room while hers is being renovated." I forced a smile. "Of course not. Where's Colton?" I tried calling him on the way. "He and Paisley went to pick up lunch. They should be back any minute." She beamed. "Those two have gotten so close while you were away. It's wonderful how well they get along." My stomach churned. "Yeah, wonderful." Mom's phone buzzed. "Oh, that's your father. Come down when you're settled." She hurried away, leaving me alone with my crumbling world. I sat on my bed that probably wasn't just mine anymore, and pulled out one of the letters, dated just last week. "K, Mom and Dad still don't suspect anything. Trinity's always been blind when it comes to you. Remember, delete these messages after reading. Love always, P." The front door opened downstairs. Laughter drifted up. Paisley's musical giggle and Colton's deep chuckle. The sound made my skin crawl. "Babe," Colton called out, "your mom said you're home." I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and walked to my mirror. The woman staring back at me looked calm, collected. Inside, I was screaming. "Coming," I called down, my voice honey-sweet. I tucked the letters deeper into my bag and headed downstairs. Colton stood in the foyer, still devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit. Paisley lounged against the wall beside him, wearing one of my old sweaters like it belonged to her. "There's my girl." Colton moved to embrace me. I let him, noting how he smelled like Paisley's perfume. "Surprise," I chirped, hugging him back. Over his shoulder, I watched Paisley's face. For just a moment, her perfect mask slipped, showing something like fear. "We brought lunch," Paisley said, holding up takeout bags. "Your favorite, Thai food." Wrong. Thai food was her favorite. Mine was Italian. But of course, she wouldn't know that. She'd been too busy stealing my life to learn such details. "How thoughtful," I said, following them to the kitchen. "I have so much to tell you all about Seattle." "Can't wait to hear everything," Colton said, his hand lingering on my waist. The engagement ring he'd given me felt like it was burning my finger. As we sat down to eat, I watched them. My perfect sister, my faithful fiancé, my doting parents. They had no idea what I'd discovered, no idea what was coming. I smiled and nodded as they chatted, playing my part perfectly. But inside, I was already planning. They wanted to play Happy Families? Fine. I'd play along, right until the moment I burned it all down. "More spring rolls, Trinity," Paisley offered, all innocence and light. "Thanks, sis," I said, taking one. "You know, I think this homecoming is going to be really special." And it would be, just not in the way they expected. "You're not going to believe what I found," Andrea whispered, sliding into the booth across from me at our usual coffee shop. Her laptop was already open, fingers flying across the keyboard. I'd called my coworker and closest friend the moment I could slip away from the house. If anyone could help me uncover the full extent of Paisley and Colton's betrayal, it was Andrea. She had a gift for digital detective work. "Look at this." She turned the screen toward me. I managed to recover deleted emails from Colton's work account. The timestamps go back almost a year. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach as I scrolled through the messages. Lunch dates, secret meetings, hotel reservations. A whole year? My voice cracked. "They've been doing this since before I even left for Seattle?" Andrea reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "There's more. Remember that charity gala last Christmas? The one you couldn't attend because of food poisoning?" I nodded, already seeing where this was going. "Check the email from December 23rd. The message loaded, and I felt the blood drain from my face. "P. Slip the ipecac into her drink. She won't make it to the gala. Meet me there. K. They poisoned me." The words came out in a whisper. "Trinity," a familiar voice called out. I slammed the laptop shut as Paisley approached our table, all sunshine and designer clothes. "I thought I saw you through the window. Who's your friend?" "Andrea, my coworker," I said, forcing a smile. "We're just catching up on work stuff." "What brings you here?" "Just picking up Colton's favorite latte." Paisley's eyes lingered on the closed laptop. He's been so stressed lately, planning the wedding and all. How thoughtful of you to help with our wedding preparations, I said, watching her face carefully. A flicker of something, guilt, fear, crossed her features before her smile returned. That's what sisters are for. Speaking of which, Mom wants us to go dress shopping this weekend. Perfect, I said. I can't wait. After Paisley left, Andrea reopened her laptop. There's something else you need to see. I found emails between Paisley and your mom from last month. The messages revealed a series of transfers from my mother's personal account to Paisley's. Large sums of money that had originally been set aside for my wedding. Mom's been funding their affair, I said, feeling numb. Trinity, look at me. Andrea leaned forward. What are you going to do? I pulled out my phone and opened my calendar. First, I'm going dress shopping this weekend. Then, I'm going to destroy everything they hold dear. I've got more digging to do, Andrea said. But whatever you're planning, I'm with you. Later that evening, I sat through another family dinner, watching the performance unfold. Mom gushing over Paisley's new job. Dad nodding proudly. Colton's hand on my knee under the table, while he exchanged glances with my sister. Remember when Trinity tried to start her own business? Paisley laughed, cutting into her steak. Thank goodness she stuck with consulting instead. That business would have succeeded if someone hadn't sabotaged my investor meeting, I said quietly, meeting her eyes. Funny how my presentation files disappeared right before the big pitch. The table fell silent. Paisley's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Ancient history. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Paisley, tell everyone about your promotion. My phone buzzed. A text from Andrea. Found security footage from the hotel they use. Last meeting was 3 days ago. Sending now. I excused myself to the bathroom, watching the video with shaking hands. There they were, my sister and my fiancé, caught in an intimate embrace in the hotel lobby. When I returned to the table, Colton pulled me close and kissed my cheek. Everything okay, babe? You look pale. Never better, I smiled, noting the faint trace of Paisley's lipstick on his collar. Just thinking about our wedding. It's going to be unforgettable. Speaking of the wedding, Mom beamed. I've been working on the seating arrangements with Paisley. She has such an eye for these things. I'm sure she does, I said, raising my wine glass. To family secrets. Family success. Paisley's glass trembled slightly as she raised it. Our eyes met over the rim, and I saw it, the first crack in her perfect facade. She knew I knew something. But she had no idea how much. My phone buzzed again. Andrea had found more evidence, more betrayals to uncover. The web of lies was unraveling thread by thread. More wine, anyone? I offered, playing the perfect hostess while plotting their downfall. Sometimes revenge is best served with a smile. You look stunning, sweetheart. Mom wiped away tears as I twirled in the wedding dress. The boutique's three-way mirror reflected my image back at me. A perfect bride in white lace. A beautiful lie. Paisley circled me like a shark, adjusting the train. The neckline's all wrong. Maybe something more conservative. I think it's perfect, I said, meeting her eyes in the mirror. Don't you want your big sister to look her best walking down the aisle, Paisley? She flinched slightly, but recovered quickly. Of course, I just want everything to be perfect for you and Colton. My phone buzzed on the nearby chair. Another message from Andrea. Found the joint bank account. They've been planning to buy a house together using your wedding money. Trinity? Mom's voice snapped me back to reality. Should we put down the deposit for this one? Actually, I smiled. I think I need to try on a few more. Paisley's right. Everything needs to be perfect. While Mom chatted with the consultant, I cornered Paisley by the accessories display. That's a gorgeous necklace you're wearing. New. Her hand flew to her throat, touching the diamond pendant. Oh, this old thing? Just a birthday gift. Funny. I picked up a nearby tiara, examining it casually. It looks exactly like the one Colton said he was buying for our first anniversary. Even has the same inscription on the back. The color drained from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. don't you? I leaned closer, keeping my voice low and sweet. The inscription reads, "Forever yours, K. Would you like me to read what's on yours?" Before she could respond, Mom called us over to look at veils. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of tulle and tension, Paisley growing increasingly nervous while I maintained my mask of bridal bliss. That evening, Colton took me to dinner at our favorite restaurant. Or rather, what he thought was our favorite. It was actually Paisley's preferred spot. To us, he raised his glass, flashing that charming smile that once made my heart race. Now it just made my skin crawl. To us, I echoed. Oh, that reminds me, I stopped by the bank today to discuss our joint account. His fork paused, halfway to his mouth. What? The wedding fund, I clarified, watching him squirm. The teller mentioned some unusual transfers. Isn't that strange? Must be a mistake, he said quickly. I'll look into it tomorrow. Please do. I smiled. By the way, I ran into Julian today. You remember my cousin? He's a real estate agent now. Mentioned something about a house you were interested in. Colton's knuckles went white around his wine glass. Just browsing options for our future. How thoughtful, I said, pulling out my phone. Actually, Julian sent me the listing. Beautiful place, 3 bedrooms, garden. Funny though, the application has your name and Paisley's on it. Must be another mistake, right? The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. Finally, Colton cleared his throat. Trinity, I can explain. No need. I cut him off, standing up. I'm feeling a bit tired. Wedding planning, you know? Such a draining process. Let me drive you home, he offered, desperation creeping into his voice. I'll call a cab, I said, dropping my napkin on the table. Oh, and Colton, that lipstick on your collar, wrong shade for me, but it matches Paisley's perfectly. I walked out, leaving him stammering at the table. Outside, I texted Andrea. Time for phase 2, send everything to Julian. When I got home, I found Mom in her study, poring over wedding magazines. Mom, can we talk about the wedding budget? Of course, sweetie. I've been meaning to tell you. Some of the funds are temporarily unavailable. Transferred to Paisley's account, you mean? I asked innocently. She froze, paper slipping from her fingers. How did you? No, I finished for her. I know everything, Mom. Every transfer, every lie, every time you chose her over me. The only question is, why? Trinity, please, she started, but I was already walking away. Don't worry, I called over my shoulder. All will be revealed at the engagement party next week. I'm planning quite a show. In my room, my real room, which I'd reclaimed by simply moving Paisley's things to the garage. I pulled out the growing file of evidence, bank statements, emails, photos, hotel receipts, each piece a bullet in the gun I was about to fire. My phone lit up with a text from Paisley. We need to talk. I replied with a single word. Soon. The mask was becoming heavy, but I'd wear it just a little longer. The engagement party was only days away, and I had one final act to prepare. They wanted a show. I'd give them a performance they'd never forget. You need to stop this, Trinity. Julian cornered me in the kitchen during Sunday brunch. Whatever you're planning, it's going to destroy this family. I continued arranging cookies on a plate, not meeting his eyes. Funny how nobody worried about destroying the family while they were betraying me. Look, he lowered his voice as footsteps approached. I found something else while looking into that house purchase. Something about your birth certificate. There you are. Paisley burst into the kitchen, her smile too bright. Mom's asking for more coffee. Julian gave me a meaningful look before stepping out. I filed away his words for later investigation. We need to talk, Paisley said once we were alone. About the engagement party. What about it? I asked, adding more cookies to the plate. Worried about something. Stop playing games, she hissed. I know you know about Colton and me. I turned to face her, leaning against the counter. Do you remember my 8th grade graduation? When I was supposed to give the valedictorian speech. She blinked at the sudden change of subject. What? Someone replaced my speech with blank pages right before I went on stage. I looked like an idiot in front of everyone. I picked up a cookie, examining it. That was you, wasn't it? We were kids, she said dismissively. What does that have to do with, and my college acceptance letter to Yale? The one that mysteriously never arrived, making me miss the enrollment deadline. Color drained from her face. Trinity, my whole life you've been sabotaging me, but stealing my fiancé? That's a new low, even for you. It's not like that. Paisley grabbed my arm. We fell in love. We didn't mean to hurt you. I jerked away from her. Save the performance for someone who still believes your lies. What are you going to do? Fear crept into her voice. Nothing, I smiled. I'm going to serve these cookies, plan my engagement party, and be the perfect bride-to-be, just like you've always been the perfect sister. Back in the living room, Colton was showing Dad something on his phone. Look at this investment opportunity. Could double your money in 6 months. I froze. Andrea's latest text flashed through my mind. Found evidence of investment fraud. Colton's been scamming your dad. Sounds interesting, I interrupted, setting down the cookies. Dad, didn't you mention wanting to invest in my old business plan, the one that fell through? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Well, yes, but Paisley convinced you it was too risky, I finished. Yet here's Colton, with an opportunity that sounds too good to be true. It's completely legitimate, Colton said quickly. I can show you the paperwork. Like the paperwork for the house you're buying, I asked innocently. The one with the fraudulent loan application. The room went silent. Mom's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. What house? Dad asked. Oh, didn't Colton tell you about the property he and Paisley are planning to buy? With money from my wedding fund. That's enough. Mom stood up sharply. Trinity, stop creating drama. Drama, I laughed. You want to talk about drama? Let's talk about the money you've been funneling to Paisley from Dad's retirement account. Dad's head snapped toward Mom. What? She's lying, Mom said quickly. Trinity's always been jealous of her sister. Am I? I pulled out my phone. Should I show everyone the bank statements? Don't, Paisley whispered. Why not? Isn't this what perfect families do? Share everything? Julian stepped between us. Trinity, remember what I said about the birth certificate? Not now, I cut him off. But Colton caught it. What birth certificate? Nothing, Julian said quickly. Forget I mentioned it. But I saw something flash across Mom's face. Real fear this time, not just anxiety about exposed secrets. Mom, I asked slowly, is there something else you want to tell me? This conversation is over, she announced, standing up. Trinity, I don't know what's gotten into you lately, but it stops now. You're right, I said, gathering my things. It stops at the engagement party. Everything stops then. As I walked out, I heard Paisley burst into tears. Her trademark move when things didn't go her way. But this time, it wouldn't work. My phone buzzed. Andrea, again. Found the birth certificate Julian mentioned. You need to see this now. I glanced back at the house, where my family was probably already spinning stories to explain away my behavior. They had no idea that their perfectly crafted lies were about to come crashing down. And apparently, the biggest lie of all was still waiting to be uncovered. I'm not actually their daughter. My hands shook as I stared at the documents spread across Andrea's kitchen table. How is this possible? According to these records, Andrea pointed to a highlighted section. You were adopted. But there's more. Look at the date on your adoption papers compared to Paisley's birth certificate. The dates were just 3 months apart. They adopted me right before Paisley was born. Your mom was pregnant with Paisley when they adopted you, Andrea confirmed. But here's the weird part. They never registered your adoption properly. Legally speaking, you're in limbo. My world tilted sideways. That's why Mom always favored Paisley. She's their real daughter. Trinity, Julian's voice, came from Andrea's doorway. I hadn't even heard him come in. I see you found out. You knew? I spun to face him. All this time, he sat down heavily. I overheard my parents talking about it years ago. But there's more to the story. Your biological mother. My phone rang, cutting him off. Colton's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer it, Andrea warned. But I did anyway. Trinity. Colton's voice was urgent. We need to talk about everything. Meet me at our spot? You mean you're in Paisley's spot? I asked coldly. The hotel downtown. Silence. Then, please. There's something you need to know before the engagement party tomorrow. I hung up and turned to Julian. Tell me about my biological mother. He shook his head. Not my story to tell. But maybe it's time you asked your parents directly. Oh, I will. I stood up, gathering the documents. At the engagement party, in front of everyone. Trinity, Julian caught my arm. Be careful. Some secrets are buried for a reason. That evening, I sat in my car, outside my parents' house, watching through the windows as they hosted their weekly bridge club. Mom was laughing, Dad was pouring wine, and Paisley was charming the guests as usual. My phone buzzed with a text from Colton. Please meet me, I'm begging you. Another text came through, this one from Paisley. Whatever you're planning tomorrow, don't. You have no idea what you're about to unleash. I started typing a response when a knock on my car window made me jump. Dad stood there, looking concerned. Can we talk? He asked after I rolled down the window. I nodded, and he slipped into the passenger seat. Your mother doesn't know I'm out here, he said quietly, but I saw the adoption papers in your room. Were you going through my things? I was looking for evidence of what you've been planning. He sighed. Trinity, there are things about your adoption, complications, that could hurt a lot of people if they come out. Like the fact that it wasn't legal? I asked sharply. He flinched. Who told you that? Does it matter? What I want to know is why. Why adopt me just to treat me like a second-class citizen in my own family? It wasn't supposed to be like that, he whispered. We loved you, love you. But your mother, when Paisley came along, save it, I cut him off. Save it for tomorrow, when everyone can hear the truth. Please, his voice cracked. Don't do this to your mother. My mother, I laughed bitterly. Which one? The one who gave me up, or the one who never wanted me? Dad reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Just answer one thing. Does Paisley know? No, he said firmly. She has no idea. My phone lit up again. Andrea. Found your biological mother's current address. You're not going to believe this. Go back inside, Dad, I said, starting my car. I'll see you all tomorrow at the party. Trinity. Don't worry, I smiled grimly. I've arranged everything perfectly. Catering, decorations, music, and just enough truth to blow this family apart. As I drove away, I watched him in my rearview mirror, standing alone in the darkness. My phone kept buzzing. Colton, Paisley, Mom, all trying to prevent tomorrow's inevitable explosion. But they were too late. The invitations were sent, the evidence was prepared, and in less than 24 hours, every carefully constructed lie would come crashing down. I pulled into my apartment complex and noticed a manila envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. Inside was a single photograph, me as a baby, being handed to my parents by a woman whose face was scratched out. On the back, in unfamiliar handwriting, "Stop digging. Some truths are better left buried." But I was done with buried truths. Tomorrow, everything would come to light, no matter the cost. The engagement party wasn't just going to be the end of my relationship with Colton. It was going to be the end of everything. The country club ballroom sparkled with champagne glasses and fake smiles. I stood at the entrance, watching my carefully arranged dominoes prepare to fall. Andrea stationed herself near the AV equipment. Julian hovered by the bar, and my family scattered around the room, all trying to act normal. You look beautiful. Colton appeared beside me, reaching for my hand. I let him take it, noting how he was sweating. Nervous about something? I asked sweetly. Before he could answer, Mom clinked her glass for attention. Welcome, everyone. We're here to celebrate the engagement of my beautiful daughter, Trinity, to Colton. The crowd applauded. Paisley stood in the corner, clutching her champagne like a lifeline. Actually, I stepped forward. I'd like to say a few words. Mom's smile faltered. Perhaps later, dear. The caterers. No, now is perfect. I moved to the center of the room. I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate love, family, and truth. Andrea dimmed the lights slightly, right on cue. The projector screen lowered behind me. First, let's talk about love. I clicked the remote. Photos of Colton and Paisley appeared on the screen. Their secret meetings, hotel rendezvous, intimate moments they thought no one would see. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mom dropped her glass. Next, family, I continued, switching to bank statements and transfer records. Mom, want to explain why you've been emptying Dad's retirement account into Paisley's name? Or why my wedding fund was used to purchase a house for my sister and fiancé? Trinity, stop this immediately. Mom's voice shook. Oh, but we haven't gotten to the best part yet, truth. I pulled out the adoption papers. Let's discuss why you never legally registered my adoption. Was it because you were too busy preparing for your real daughter's arrival? The room went deadly silent. Paisley's face had gone white. What is she talking about? She whispered. Don't. Dad stepped forward, but I was already pulling out the photograph from my windshield. This was left at my car last night. Mom, care to explain why you scratched out the face of my biological mother? Or should we ask your sister Rachel to explain? Mom staggered backward. How did you find out that my real mother is my aunt? I held up my phone. DNA doesn't lie, Mom. Rachel's daughter, that's me, isn't it? Your own sister's child, adopted in secret to hide her teenage pregnancy. No wonder you resented me. I never resented you. Mom protested weakly. Really? I laughed. Then why did you let Paisley systematically destroy every opportunity I ever had? Why did you help her steal my fiancé? That's not what happened. Paisley finally spoke up. Colton and I fell in love. We never meant to get caught? I interrupted. Is that why you applied for a marriage license last week? Colton's head snapped toward Paisley. You did what? Oh, she didn't tell you? I smiled. Guess she was playing both of us. Enough. Dad's voice boomed across the room. Trinity, you've made your point. Have I? I turned to the gathered guests. Everyone here thinks we're the perfect family. Mom the socialite, Dad the businessman, Paisley the golden child, and me, the adopted mistake they never wanted. That's not true, Dad said softly. Then explain this. I projected one final document. A trust fund, set up the day Paisley was born. Every penny that should have been split between us, given solely to her. Every opportunity, every advantage, every piece of love, all reserved for your real daughter. Paisley started crying, her perfect mascara running. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know you were adopted. Save your tears, I snapped. They won't work anymore. Trinity, Julian stepped forward. Your biological mother, Rachel, she's here. The crowd parted, revealing a woman who looked startlingly like me, standing near the back of the room. I got your invitation, she said quietly. I thought it was time. Mom let out a choked sob. Rachel, please. No more secrets, Sarah. Rachel cut her off. Trinity deserves the truth. I stared at the woman who gave me away, at the mother who never wanted me, at the sister who betrayed me, and at the man who played us all. The truth? I picked up my champagne glass. Here's the truth. This engagement is over. This perfect family facade is over. Everything is over. I dropped my glass, letting it shatter on the floor, and walked toward the exit. Behind me, chaos erupted. Accusations, crying, demands for explanations. But I didn't look back. I'd lit the match and watched it all burn. Now it was time to walk away from the ashes. Wait, Rachel's voice followed me into the parking lot. Please, just give me 5 minutes. I turned to face my biological mother, really looking at her for the first time. Same green eyes, same dark hair, same stubborn chin. It was like looking into a mirror of my future. Why now? I asked. Why not any time in the last 29 years? Because your mother, Sarah, made me promise to stay away. Rachel stepped closer. She threatened to tell everyone about the pregnancy if I ever contacted you. And that was enough to keep you away. I was 16, Trinity, scared, alone. And your mother, she convinced me it was best for everyone. The country club doors burst open. Paisley ran out, mascara streaking down her face. Trinity, please, I didn't know about any of this. Which part? I asked coldly. The part where you're not my sister, or the part where you were planning to marry my fiancé? I love him, she whispered. I know it's wrong, but I love him. And the sabotage, the stolen opportunities, was that love too? Before she could answer, Colton emerged from the building. Trinity, baby, let me explain. Explain what? I rounded on him. The fraud? The affair? Or the fact that you were planning to steal my inheritance once we were married? His face went pale. How did you find the paperwork? I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshots. You should really use stronger passwords. Mom and Dad appeared next, followed by what seemed like half the party guests. Trinity, Mom reached for me, but I stepped back. Everything I did was to protect this family. Protect? Rachel scoffed. You stole my daughter to hide your own shame, then punished her for existing. I gave her everything, Mom shouted. No, Dad's quiet voice cut through the chaos. You gave everything to Paisley. We both did, and we were wrong. Paisley's sobs grew louder. Daddy, please. The trust fund, he continued. The opportunities, the constant favoritism. We created this mess, all of it. And now it's blown up in your faces, I said. Just like I promised it would. What do you want? Mom asked desperately. Money? The house? What will it take to fix this? I laughed bitterly. Fix this? You can't fix 29 years of lies with a checkbook, Mom. Or should I even call you that? I raised you, she whispered. No, you tolerated me. There's a difference. Colton stepped forward. Trinity, whatever you think you know about me and Paisley, save it. I cut him off. Andrea found your offshore accounts. The FBI will be very interested in those, along with the investment scams you've been running. His face went from pale to gray. You wouldn't. I already did. Check your phone. He pulled out his phone, hands shaking. One look at the screen, and he bolted for his car. Colton, wait. Paisley called after him. But he was already gone. He was using you too, Paisley, I said quietly. Those investment documents. He was planning to take everything. From you, from Dad, from everyone. Rachel touched my arm gently. Come with me. We have so much to talk about. Trinity, please, Mom begged. We can work this out as a family. Family? I gestured to the chaos around us. This isn't family. This is a web of lies that's finally fallen apart. Then let's rebuild, Dad suggested. Start over, with the truth this time. I looked at them all. Mom's desperate face, Dad's regretful one, Paisley's tears, Rachel's hope. The truth is, I said slowly, I don't want any of it anymore. Not the lies, not the competition, not the fake perfection. I'm done. What are you saying? Paisley whispered. I'm saying goodbye. I turned to Rachel. I'd like to know you, but not now, not like this. She nodded understanding. I'll be here when you're ready. I walked to my car, aware of their eyes following me. Andrea appeared at my side, slipping me a thumb drive. Everything's backed up, she whispered. And the FBI really is interested in Colton's accounts. Thank you. I squeezed her hand. For everything. As I drove away, I watched in my rearview mirror as my carefully constructed explosion settled into rubble. Mom collapsed into Dad's arms. Paisley sat on the curb, with her head in her hands, and Rachel stood alone, watching me leave just like she had 29 years ago. But this time, it was my choice, my terms, my freedom. Sometimes, the only way to fix a broken family is to walk away from the pieces. The morning newspaper headline read, Local investment banker arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. I sipped my coffee, watching the sunrise from my new apartment's balcony when my phone buzzed. Did you see the news? Andrea texted. Colton's going away for a long time. Another text came through, from Paisley. Can we talk, please? I hesitated, then replied, coffee shop on 5th, 30 minutes. When I arrived, Paisley sat alone at a corner table, looking nothing like her usual polished self. No designer clothes, no perfect makeup, just raw honesty in her eyes. I sold the house, she said as I sat down. The one Colton and I, well, you know. Smart move. The FBI interviewed me yesterday. She twisted her napkin. I had no idea about the fraud. He was stealing from me too. I know, I said quietly. That's why I made sure they knew you weren't involved. Her head snapped up. You did that for me? After everything. Despite what you think, I never wanted to destroy you, Paisley. I just wanted the truth. Mom's in therapy, she offered. Dad moved out temporarily. And Rachel, she asks about you. How are you handling that, finding out we're actually cousins? Honestly? She gave a weak laugh. It explains a lot. Why Mom always pushed me so hard to be perfect. Why she couldn't stand seeing you succeed. The barista brought our drinks. She'd ordered my actual favorite, not hers. You remembered, I noted. I'm trying to remember a lot of things, like how it felt before I started competing with you, before I let jealousy turn me into someone I hate. My phone buzzed. Dad. The divorce papers came today. Can we meet? Dad, Paisley asked. I nodded. They're getting divorced, she continued. Mom's secrets finally broke them. And us? What broke us? I did, she whispered. I broke us. And I'm so sorry, Trinity. Not just for Colton, but for everything. Every opportunity I stole. Every moment I ruined. The valedictorian speech? I was jealous. You were always smarter, always stronger. Mom's pressure to be perfect. I couldn't handle it. The door chimed, and Rachel walked in. She stopped short, seeing us together. I can come back. She started to turn. Stay, I said. Please. She joined us, creating a triangle of complicated relationships and shared pain. I signed the papers, Rachel said, legally acknowledging I'm your birth mother, if you want them. Does this mean you're moving back? Paisley asked. I bought a house nearby, Rachel nodded. If that's okay with everyone. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. I understand if you never forgive me. But please know I'm trying to change. I showed them the text. She is trying, Paisley said softly. The therapist says she's finally dealing with her own childhood trauma. And you? I asked Rachel. Are you dealing with yours? Every day, she reached for my hand. Starting with making amends to you. The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating our three faces, so similar, yet each marked by different choices. I can't promise forgiveness, I said slowly. But maybe we can try something new, something honest this time. Like what? Paisley asked. Like being real family, no competition, no lies, no perfect facades. I'd like that. Rachel squeezed my hand. Me too. Paisley wiped away a tear. More than anything. My phone buzzed one final time. Andrea. FBI needs to meet again. Colton's naming names. You okay? I looked at these women. My cousin, who used to be my sister. My aunt, who used to be my mother. And my mother, who used to be a stranger. Each of us broken by the same lies. Each of us choosing truth over perfection. Yes, I texted back. I'm okay. Because sometimes family isn't about who raised you or who shares your blood. Sometimes it's about who stands with you in the rubble, ready to build something new. So, I said, raising my coffee cup, where do we start? With the truth, Rachel suggested. With forgiveness, Paisley added. No, I shook my head. We start with acceptance of who we are, what we've done, and what we can become. The morning light grew stronger, washing away the shadows of our past. We weren't perfect, we weren't even whole yet, but we were real. And maybe that was the best revenge of all.
The day my family chose my sister's lies over my truth started like any other Thursday. I stood in my childhood home's living room, surrounded by faces I'd known all my life, watching them transform from familiar to foreign in the span of minutes. $20,000, Lana. How could you? My mother's voice cracked as she clutched a stack of papers Sawyer had handed her moments before. Your own parents' retirement fund? I'm Lana. And until that moment, I thought I knew exactly who I was in my family. The responsible one, the daughter who'd never caused a moment's worry. Now I stood accused of theft, watching my carefully built world crumble. Mom, Dad, please. Those documents are fake. I would never... My voice caught as Sawyer stepped between us, her designer heels clicking against the hardwood floors. I found the transfers myself, Sawyer interrupted, her voice dripping with rehearsed concern. All traced back to Lana's account. I didn't want to believe it either, but... She placed a manicured hand on Mom's shoulder, the perfect picture of a concerned daughter. Dad paced near the fireplace, his face red with anger. We trusted you with access to help manage our accounts when your mother got sick last year. Was that your plan all along? No! I stepped forward, reaching for the papers. Let me see those documents. Something's wrong here. Sawyer's lying. Sawyer pulled them away. I've already shown you the proof. Stop trying to deflect. Robert, Mom turned to Dad, tears streaming down her face. What do we do? I watched my father's expression harden, the same expression he'd worn when he caught neighborhood kids vandalizing his car years ago. But this time, it was directed at me. Pack your things, Lana. You're no longer welcome in this house. Dad, please. Don't. He held up his hand. The evidence is clear. You stole from us, betrayed our trust. I won't have a thief under my roof. I didn't do this. I spun toward my sister. Sawyer, tell them the truth. Whatever game you're playing, it's gone too far. Sawyer's eyes met mine, cold and triumphant. For a split second, her mask slipped, and I saw something I'd never noticed before, a calculated hatred that made my blood run cold. Security cameras, I blurted out. Check the bank's security footage. I haven't been to that branch in months. The transfers were done online, Sawyer countered smoothly, from your IP address. My mother sobbed harder. Just go, Lana, please, just go. Mom. I reached for her, but she turned away. You have 30 minutes to pack essentials, Dad said. We'll have the rest of your things sent to wherever you end up. I stood frozen, my world tilting on its axis. The family photos on the walls seemed to mock me. Smiling faces from happier times, Sawyer and me at her son Bailey's 16th birthday just last year, family vacations, Christmas mornings. This isn't over, I said quietly, my shock giving way to determination. The truth will come out. The truth already has, Sawyer replied, but I caught the slight tremor in her voice. Upstairs, I threw clothes into a suitcase with shaking hands. My phone buzzed. A text from Corey, my best friend since college. You okay? You're late for coffee. I typed back quickly. Everything's gone wrong. Need a place to stay. His response was immediate. My door's open. Always. Back downstairs, my parents wouldn't look at me. Sawyer stood by the door playing her part perfectly. The grieving sister, disappointed but righteous. When you realize what you've done, Dad said, his voice heavy. When you're ready to confess and make amends, maybe we can talk. Until then. I'll prove it wasn't me, I said, gripping my suitcase handle. And when I do, I hope you remember this moment. Remember how easily you believed the worst of me. I walked out of my childhood home, the door closing behind me with devastating finality. In my car, I allowed myself exactly 1 minute to break down, hands gripping the steering wheel as tears blurred my vision. Then I wiped my eyes, started the engine, and pulled out my phone to call Duncan, our family's longtime lawyer and friend. If Sawyer wanted to play this game, fine, but she'd forgotten something crucial about her little sister. I'd always been better at strategy than she was. Duncan, it's Lana. I need your help. I pulled onto the street, watching my parents' house disappear in the rearview mirror. Sawyer's set me up, and I'm going to need everything you can find on financial fraud and digital forensics. The line was quiet for a moment before Duncan spoke. Come to my office. We'll figure this out. I ended the call, my hands steady now. Sawyer might have won this battle, but she'd just started a war she wasn't prepared to fight. And I intended to win. Corey's apartment became my war room. 3 days after being kicked out, we sat surrounded by papers, laptops, and empty coffee cups, piecing together the puzzle of my sister's betrayal. Look at this, Corey said, turning his laptop screen toward me. The timestamps on these bank transfers don't match your work schedule. You were literally teaching a yoga class when this one happened. I leaned forward, squinting at the screen. Can we prove that? The gym's check-in system records instructor arrivals. I already called your manager. She's pulling the logs. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Corey checked his security camera feed and grinned. Duncan's here. Duncan entered carrying a thick manila envelope and his signature briefcase. His tie was loosened, a rare sight for the usually impeccable lawyer. You look like hell, he said, studying my face. Thanks. You should see the other guy. I attempted a smile. Please tell me you found something. He spread documents across Corey's coffee table. Your sister's been busy. These are records of multiple accounts opened in various names, all connected to her somehow. The money trail is complicated, but it's there if you know where to look. How did you get these? Corey asked. Let's just say I still have friends at the bank. Duncan pointed to a series of transactions. See this pattern? Money moves from your parents' account to a shell account, then gets redistributed to these other accounts. The transfer that supposedly proves your guilt? It's part of a larger scheme. My phone buzzed, a text from Bailey, Sawyer's son. Mum's acting weird. Grandma and Grandpa just gave her power of attorney over everything. Shit. I showed them the message. She's moving faster than we thought. Power of attorney? Duncan straightened his tie. That changes things. We need to move quickly before she can do real damage. Corey opened another browser tab. Wait, look at this. Sawyer's LinkedIn shows she worked for a tech security firm 3 years ago. Could explain how she managed to spoof your IP address. Can we prove that's what she did? I asked. With the right expert, maybe. Duncan pulled out his phone. I know someone who specializes in digital forensics. But Lana, this won't be cheap. I don't care about the cost. I care about... My voice caught as another text came through, this time from Mom. Please stop asking people to investigate us. You're only making things worse. Corey read over my shoulder and swore softly. Sawyer's got them completely convinced. She always was good at manipulation, I said, remembering childhood incidents I'd dismissed at the time. Remember when she convinced our parents I'd broken Dad's vintage record player? I was grounded for a month. This is a bit bigger than a record player, Duncan noted dryly. My phone rang. Bailey again. I put it on speaker. Aunt Lana, Mum's at the bank with Grandma and Grandpa right now. I heard her talking about moving their investments around. Bailey, can you get any details? Account numbers? Anything? I took pictures of some papers she left in her home office. Sending them now. Duncan leaned forward. Bailey, be careful. Don't let her catch you helping us. I know, but this isn't right. What she's doing to you. To them. Bailey's voice cracked. I have to go. She's coming back. The call ended as photos started coming through. Duncan examined them closely. This is good, he said. Really good. These documents show intent to defraud. See these signature dates? They don't match the notary stamps. Will it be enough? I asked. Not yet, but it's a start. Duncan gathered his papers. I'm meeting my digital forensics contact in an hour. Corey, keep digging into those bank records. Lana, you need to stay visible. Maintain your routine. Don't give Sawyer any ammunition to paint you as unstable or desperate. I nodded, standing to walk him out. At the door, he paused. One more thing. Your sister's going to realize soon that we're investigating. When she does, she'll probably try to contact you directly. Record everything. After he left, Corey brought me fresh coffee. You okay? No. I stared into the cup. My parents think I'm a thief. My sister's stealing their retirement, and my teenage nephew is playing spy. but I'm going to fix this. We're going to fix this, he corrected. Speaking of which, look what I just found. He showed me his screen, an old local news article about a fraud case at Sawyer's former workplace. She wasn't named, but the dates matched her employment there. Send that to Duncan, I said, feeling the first real spark of hope in days. And Corey, thank you for everything. He bumped my shoulder with his. That's what friends are for. Now let's go through these bank statements again. There's got to be something we missed. I settled back into research mode, my determination growing stronger. Sawyer might have won the first round, but the game was far from over. Duncan's office felt different at night. The usual bustle of legal assistants and ringing phones was replaced by the soft hum of the air conditioning and the glow of desk lamps. I sat across from Marcus, the digital forensics expert Duncan had brought in, watching him scroll through lines of code. Your sister's good, Marcus said, adjusting his glasses, but not as good as she thinks. See these access logs? She used a VPN to mask her location, but there's always a digital footprint. Duncan leaned over Marcus's shoulder. Can you prove it was her? Better. Marcus typed rapidly. I can prove it wasn't Lana. The IP spoofing software she used left traces. Amateur mistake, really. My phone lit up with a text from Bailey. Mum's freaking out. She just got a call from the bank about suspicious activity. Looks like someone's feeling the heat, Duncan said, reading the message. Marcus, how fast can you get us a preliminary report? Give me till morning. But you'll want to see this now. He pulled up a series of emails. These were recovered from a cloud backup, correspondence between your sister and someone at her old tech firm discussing how to redirect electronic transfers. The office door opened and Corey rushed in, waving a folder. You need to see this. Remember that fraud case we found? I dug deeper. Sawyer wasn't just working there, she was under investigation. Why wasn't she charged? I asked. Lack of evidence, but look at the investigating officer's notes. He spread papers across Duncan's desk. The method matches what she's doing now. My phone buzzed again. Mom's number. My hand shook as I answered. Lana? Her voice sounded uncertain, different from the anger of days ago. I got an alert from the bank, something about unauthorized access to our accounts. Mom, please listen to me. Sawyer says you're trying to hack our accounts now. Her voice hardened. Why can't you just leave us alone? Put her on speaker, Duncan whispered. I did. Mom, I'm with our lawyer right now. We have proof that Sawyer... Lawyer? You got a lawyer? She sounded hurt. Are you planning to sue us? Mrs. Taylor, Duncan cut in smoothly. I'm trying to protect your interests. There are serious irregularities with your accounts that have nothing to do with Lana. Silence on the line. Then, I need to go. Mom, wait. But she'd already hung up. That's actually good, Duncan said. She called you, not Sawyer. She's having doubts. Marcus whistled from his computer. Found something big. Money transfers to an offshore account started 3 months ago. Small amounts at first, then larger. All traced back to Sawyer's home IP address. My phone lit up again. Bailey. Grandma just called Mom. Mum's locked herself in her office. I can hear her shredding papers. Time to move, Duncan said, grabbing his coat. Marcus, email me everything you have. Corey, get those bank records to my office. Lana, you're coming with me. Where? Your parents' house. Sawyer's panicking, which means she's likely to make mistakes. We need to be there when she does. The drive was tense. Duncan reviewed our evidence on his phone while I watched the familiar streets pass by. As we turned onto my parents' street, I saw multiple cars in the driveway. That's Sawyer's car, I said, and Bailey's. Duncan parked across the street. Remember, stay calm. Let me do the talking. We walked to the door, but before we could knock, it flew open. Bailey stood there, pale and shaking. You need to come quick, he said. Mum's trying to get Grandma and Grandpa to sign something. We followed him inside. In the living room, Sawyer stood over our parents with a document, her usual composure cracking. Just sign it, she was saying. It's to protect your assets from Lana's lawyers. Step away from them, Sawyer. Duncan's voice cut through the tension. Any documents signed under duress won't hold up in court. Sawyer spun around, her face twisting when she saw me. What are you doing here? Mom, Dad, I told you she'd try something like this. Actually, Duncan held up his phone. We're here about the offshore accounts you've been funneling money into. Want to explain those? The colour drained from Sawyer's face. Dad snatched the papers from her hand, reading them with growing horror. This isn't a protection document, he said slowly. This is a transfer of all our assets to you. Dad, I can explain. Save it for the forensic accountants, Duncan interrupted. They'll be very interested in your creative banking practices. Mum looked between us, tears in her eyes. Sawyer, what have you done? I stepped forward, placing the evidence folder on the coffee table. Everything you need to know is in here. Bank records, email trails, all of it. Sawyer's mask finally cracked completely. You don't understand. I had debts. Get out! Dad's voice was quiet but firm. Now. As Sawyer fled upstairs, Mum reached for my hand. Lana, I'm so... Not yet, I said gently. First, we need to protect what's left of your retirement. Then we can talk about everything else. The sound of Sawyer's footsteps on the stairs echoed through the house as the real work of rebuilding began. The next morning found us all gathered in Duncan's conference room. Mum and Dad sat close together, looking exhausted, while Bailey slumped in a chair near the window. Corey worked quietly on his laptop, organising the growing mountain of evidence against Sawyer. The good news, Duncan said, spreading documents across the table, is that we've frozen the accounts before more damage could be done. The bad news is the extent of what we've uncovered. How bad? Dad's voice was hoarse. Duncan pointed to a spreadsheet. Over the past year, Sawyer diverted approximately $200,000 to various accounts. We've traced most of it, but some funds are still unaccounted for. Mum's hand flew to her mouth. Our retirement. We'll recover what we can, Duncan assured her. The offshore accounts have been flagged and... The door burst open. Sawyer stormed in, her designer outfit wrinkled, her eyes wild. You had no right to freeze those accounts. Those weren't your accounts to empty, I shot back, standing. Security's on their way, Corey murmured, reaching for his phone. Bailey, Sawyer turned to her son. Let's go, now. Bailey didn't move. No, Mom. I'm staying. You ungrateful little... She stepped toward him, but Dad moved between them. That's enough, Sawyer. Sit down or leave. Those are your options. She laughed, a harsh sound. Options? Like the options you gave Lana when I convinced you she was stealing? You were so quick to believe the worst about her. Why not me? Because we have proof, Duncan said calmly, holding up a USB drive, including some interesting emails about your previous employer's fraud case, the one you were never charged for. Sawyer's face went pale. You can't prove anything. Actually, Corey turned his laptop around, we can. Your IP address, your email trails, your bank records. Want to see the transaction from last Tuesday? The one you made from your favorite coffee shop's Wi-Fi? I needed that money. Sawyer's composure cracked. Do you have any idea what it's like watching perfect little Lana get all the praise? The golden child who could do no wrong? I worked for everything I have, I said quietly. While you were busy resenting me, I was building a life. A life, she sneered. Teaching yoga and living in a tiny apartment. I have appearances to maintain. Appearances? Mum's voice shook. You stole our retirement for appearances? Security arrived at the door. Duncan nodded to them. Ms. Taylor needs to leave. This isn't over, Sawyer spat as the guards approached. Actually, it is. Duncan held up another document. The police have been notified. They'll want to speak with you about the fraud charges. As security escorted her out, Bailey broke down. I moved to sit beside him, putting an arm around his shoulders. I'm so sorry, he sobbed. I should have said something sooner. The shopping sprees, the new car, the cash withdrawals, I knew something was wrong. You did say something, I reminded him gently. When it mattered most. Corey cleared his throat. There's something else you should see. He pulled up a series of photos on his laptop. These were taken last month at various casinos. Sawyer's been gambling heavily. Mom started crying softly. Dad took her hand, his face ashen. How did we not see this? Because she didn't want you to, Duncan said. She crafted her deception carefully, played on your trust, and manipulated your emotions. And we fell for it completely. Dad turned to me. Lana, what we did to you. Later, I said firmly. Right now, we need to focus on damage control. Duncan nodded. I've contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Given the interstate nature of the fraud and the offshore accounts, they're taking over the investigation. What about Bailey's college fund? Mom asked suddenly. Bailey laughed bitterly. Gone. Mom emptied it last week. Said she was diversifying my investments. We'll figure something out, I promised him. First things first, Duncan interrupted, pulling out more papers. We need to file these reports, revoke all powers of attorney, and set up new accounts with proper security measures. As we worked through the paperwork, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won? This is just the beginning. S. I showed it to Duncan, who immediately began typing on his phone, adding it to the evidence file. Keep any messages she sends. What happens now? Bailey asked, his voice small. Now, I said, we rebuild. Together. Dad looked up from the papers he was signing. As a family. The real one. Not the illusion your mother created. Outside Duncan's office windows, the city continued its normal rhythm, unaware of the drama unfolding inside. But in that conference room, surrounded by the wreckage of Sawyer's deception, we were taking the first steps toward healing. The truth had come out, as I'd promised it would. The cost was higher than any of us had imagined, but at least now we could face it honestly, together. 2 weeks after the confrontation in Duncan's office, I sat with Bailey in a small cafe, watching him push his untouched sandwich around his plate. The FBI investigation was in full swing, and Sawyer had disappeared after making bail. She called again last night, Bailey said, not looking up. Kept saying she could explain everything if I'd just meet her. You know you can't, I reminded him gently. The restraining order, I know. He finally met my eyes. But she's still my mum, even after everything. The bell above the cafe door chimed. Corey rushed in, laptop under his arm. Sorry I'm late, but you need to see this. He opened his computer, pulling up an email. Sawyer's been busy. Look at these ticket confirmations. She's trying to leave the country, I realized, scanning the documents. Brazil? No extradition treaty, Corey explained. Duncan's already forwarding this to the FBI. Bailey's phone buzzed. His face went pale as he read the message. She wants me to bring her passport, says it's in her bedroom safe. Let me see. I read the text. Baby, please help Mommy. Just this one thing. I'll make everything right. We should tell the FBI, Corey said. Wait. I looked at Bailey. This might be our chance to recover more of the stolen money. She must have documents in that safe. You want to use my son as bait? Mum's voice made us all jump. She stood by our table looking worried. I followed Bailey when I saw him leave the house. Not as bait, I assured her, but if we coordinate with the FBI. My phone rang. Duncan. I put it on speaker. Sawyer's passport has already been flagged, he said without preamble, but there might be something else in that safe worth retrieving. The FBI wants to set up a controlled meeting. Mom sat down heavily. It's not worth the risk to Bailey. I want to do it, Bailey said firmly. Maybe she'll surrender if she sees me. 2 hours later, we sat in an FBI surveillance van, watching Bailey approach his old house through multiple camera feeds. He wore a wire, and agents were positioned around the property. Remember, Agent Sarah warned through the radio. If she shows up, don't confront her. Just get the safe contents and get out. Bailey used his key to enter. The house was dark, exactly as Sawyer had left it 2 weeks ago. We watched him climb the stairs to the master bedroom. The safe's behind her favourite painting, his voice came through clearly. She always thought that was clever. He moved the artwork, revealing a wall safe, using my birthday as the code. Classic Mom. The safe clicked open. Inside, we could see stacks of papers, USB drives, and what looked like passports. Multiple passports, Agent Sarah muttered. This just got bigger. Suddenly, a car's headlights swept across the house's front windows. Bailey, get out now, I said into the radio. Someone's here. Wait, he whispered. There's something else. Bank statements from the Cayman Islands. The sound of a door opening downstairs made us all freeze. Bailey, Sawyer's voice called out. Baby, are you here? Move in, Agent Sarah ordered her team. Now! We watched as Bailey grabbed everything from the safe, shoving it into his backpack. Footsteps on the stairs. I'm in my old room, Mom, he called out, his voice steady despite his shaking hands. Just getting some clothes. He slipped out onto the bedroom balcony just as Sawyer reached the top of the stairs. FBI agents converged from all directions. FBI, don't move! Sawyer's scream of rage echoed through our headsets. Bailey, you helped them trap me? No, Mom. His voice was thick with tears as he climbed down to waiting agents. You trapped yourself. Back at the FBI office, Bailey sat with his head in his hands while agents went through the safe's contents. 6 fake passports, Agent Sarah reported. Offshore account details, evidence of at least 3 other fraud schemes. Your sister's been busy for years. Mom hugged Bailey close. You were so brave. But she'll go to prison now, he said quietly. Because of me. No, I corrected him. Because of her choices. You just helped expose the truth. Corey, who'd been examining the USB drives, called us over. Look at this. She kept records of everything. It's like she was proud of her schemes. Pride comes before the fall, Mom said softly. My phone buzzed with a text from Duncan. Sawyer's asking to make a deal. Says she'll return what's left of the money for a lighter sentence. Too late for deals, Agent Sarah said, reading over my shoulder. We've got her dead to rights on multiple federal charges. Bailey stood up suddenly. I need some air. I followed him outside. We stood in the cool night air, watching police cars come and go. You know what's weird? He said finally. I feel relieved, like I can finally stop pretending everything's okay. I put my arm around him. That's because the truth, even when it hurts, is better than living a lie. He nodded, leaning into me. What happens now? Now, I said. We heal, and we do it together. Bailey's graduation was 3 days away, and the tension in our family was reaching a breaking point. We sat in the living room of my parents' house, surrounded by college acceptance letters and legal documents. She's requesting to attend the graduation, Dad said, holding up a letter from Sawyer's lawyer. Says it's her right as a mother. Absolutely not, Mom snapped. The restraining order can be temporarily lifted for special events, Duncan interjected, adjusting his reading glasses. It's up to Bailey. All eyes turned to Bailey, who sat cross-legged on the floor, fiddling with his graduation cap tassel. I want her there. Honey, after everything she's done, Mom started. She's still my mum, Bailey interrupted, and I want to show her exactly what she's losing. The doorbell rang. Corey entered with his laptop, looking excited. The forensic accountants found something, more accounts hidden deeper than the others. Duncan leaned forward. How much? Another 150,000. They're working on recovery now. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tell Bailey I'm coming to his graduation. Nothing can stop me from seeing my son. I showed it to Duncan, who immediately started typing on his phone. Forwarding to the FBI. They'll want to monitor the ceremony. We can't let her ruin this, I said, watching Bailey's face fall. This is his day. She won't, Dad said firmly. We'll have security, the FBI, everything we need. Actually, Bailey stood up, his voice stronger than I'd heard in weeks. I have an idea. Let her come. Bailey, Mum protested. No, listen, she wants to see me graduate, fine. But I'm giving the student's speech, remember, and I know exactly what I want to say. The room fell silent. Bailey had been chosen as class speaker months ago before everything fell apart. Are you sure? I asked quietly. He nodded. I'm done hiding her secrets, done pretending everything's okay. It could get messy, Duncan warned. My whole life has been messy, Bailey replied. At least this time it's on my terms. The next few days were a blur of preparation. Security plans were made, the FBI coordinated with local police, and Bailey spent hours in his room working on his speech. The morning of graduation, we gathered at the high school auditorium. I helped Bailey straighten his honor cords while scanning the growing crowd. "She's here," Corey murmured, nodding toward the back. "Third row from the right." Sawyer sat alone, wearing oversized sunglasses and a designer dress that couldn't hide how thin she'd become. FBI agents positioned themselves strategically around her. "You ready?" I asked Bailey. He squared his shoulders. "More than ready." The ceremony began. We watched as Bailey's classmates received their diplomas, the normal excitement of graduation tempered by the underlying tension. Then it was time for Bailey's speech. He approached the podium, adjusting the microphone. The audience fell silent. "Today marks not just our graduation," he began, "but our first step into truth. For years, I watched my family live a lie. I watched my mother steal from her own parents, frame her sister, and destroy the trust that families are built on." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sawyer half rose from her seat, but an FBI agent's hand on her shoulder kept her down. "But here's what I learned," Bailey continued, his voice growing stronger. "The truth always comes out, and when it does, you have a choice. You can hide from it, like my mother did, or you can face it, learn from it, and grow stronger." I saw tears streaming down Mom's face. Dad held her hand tightly. "To my classmates, I say this: your integrity is everything. Once lost, it's almost impossible to regain. To my family, the ones who stood by me, who fought for truth, thank you for showing me what real strength looks like." Sawyer stood up fully now, her sunglasses off, mascara running down her face. "Bailey, please." "And to my mother," he said, looking directly at her, "I forgive you, not for your sake, but for mine, because holding on to anger only hurts ourselves." The auditorium erupted in applause. Sawyer fled down the aisle, FBI agents following discreetly. Bailey returned to his seat, shoulders straight, head high. After the ceremony, we gathered in the parking lot. Bailey clutched his diploma, surrounded by family and friends. "That was incredibly brave," I told him. "It felt right," he said. "Like I could finally breathe." Duncan approached, phone in hand. "Sawyer's been taken into custody. She violated the restraining order by approaching the stage." "Good," Dad said firmly. "Maybe now we can all move forward." Bailey looked at his diploma, then at all of us. "You know what? For the first time, I actually believe we can." We headed to our cars, ready to celebrate properly. The truth had been spoken, not in whispers or legal documents, but out loud, in front of everyone. And somehow, that made all the difference. The courthouse hallway felt impossibly long as we waited for Sawyer's sentencing hearing to begin. 3 months had passed since Bailey's graduation, and the full scope of her crimes had finally come to light. "You don't have to do this," I told Bailey, watching him adjust his tie for the 10th time. "No one would blame you for staying home." "I need to see it through," he replied, his voice steady. "Besides, I'm not the only one making a victim impact statement." Mum and Dad sat nearby, reviewing their prepared statements. Corey worked on his laptop, organizing the final financial records that had sealed Sawyer's fate. The courtroom doors opened. Duncan emerged, his expression grim. "They're ready for us." Inside, Sawyer sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, a far cry from her designer outfits. She turned as we entered, her eyes locking onto Bailey. "Baby, please," she started. "No contact with the victims," the bailiff warned. We took our seats. The judge entered and the proceedings began. The prosecutor laid out the final tally. Over $500,000 stolen, multiple instances of fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. "The defendant has agreed to plead guilty to all charges," the prosecutor announced. "Before sentencing, we'll hear victim impact statements." Dad went first, his voice shaking with emotion. "You didn't just steal our money, Sawyer. You stole our trust, our family's peace. You tried to destroy your sister's reputation for your own gain." Mom could barely get through her statement. I keep asking myself what I did wrong as a mother. How did I raise someone capable of such calculated cruelty? Then it was my turn. I stood, facing my sister directly. "I spent weeks trying to write this statement," I began. trying to find the right words to describe what you did to us. But there aren't any. You didn't just commit fraud, Sawyer. You weaponized love. You turned our parents against me because you were jealous. You used your own son as a pawn in your schemes. Sawyer's face crumpled, but I continued. The worst part isn't the money. It's knowing that every childhood memory, every family moment is now tainted by the question, were you planning this even then? Finally, Bailey approached the podium. The room fell silent. Mom, he said simply, and Sawyer's head snapped up. I used to think you were the strongest person I knew. Now I realize that real strength isn't about maintaining appearances or manipulating others. It's about facing consequences, something you never taught me. But thankfully, Aunt Lana did. Sawyer tried to stand, but her lawyer pulled her back down. I'm going to college in the fall, Bailey continued. The money you stole from my college fund? Aunt Lana and my grandparents are helping me replace it. Because that's what real family does. They build each other up instead of tearing each other down. The judge cleared his throat. Would the defendant like to make a statement before sentencing? Sawyer stood shakily. I never meant for it to go this far. The gambling debts just kept growing, and I couldn't stop. Lana always had everything so together, and I wanted that. I wanted to be the successful one for once. By destroying her? Dad interrupted. Order, the judge warned. I'm sorry, Sawyer whispered. Bailey, baby, I'm so sorry. The judge adjusted his glasses. Mrs. Taylor, you've pled guilty to multiple federal charges. You systematically defrauded your own parents, attempted to frame your sister, and involved your minor son in your criminal activities. The court sentences you to 8 years in federal prison, with the possibility of parole after 5 years. You will also be required to make full restitution to your victims. The gavel struck. Sawyer collapsed into her chair as bailiffs approached to lead her away. Wait, she called out desperately. Bailey, please, will you visit me? Bailey stood, shoulders straight like at graduation. Maybe someday, Mom, when you're ready to tell the whole truth. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with cameras. Duncan helped us navigate through them to our cars. It's really over, Mom said, sounding dazed. The criminal part is, Duncan corrected. We still have work to do recovering the remaining funds. Bailey checked his phone. My dorm assignment came through. I start moving in next week. We'll help you, I promised. All of us. Dad put his arm around Bailey's shoulders. Your mom made her choices. Now you get to make yours. Speaking of choices, Corey called from his car, who's up for lunch? I think we all need something normal right now. As we headed to our favourite restaurant, I watched Bailey in the rearview mirror. He was smiling, really smiling for the first time in months. The truth had finally been spoken, justice had been served, and while our family would never be the same, maybe that wasn't entirely a bad thing. Sometimes it takes breaking apart to rebuild something stronger. The autumn wind scattered leaves across Bailey's dorm parking lot as we unloaded the last of his belongings. Mom fussed with his bedding while Dad arranged his desk, trying to keep busy rather than face the moment we'd have to leave. Got the final restitution report from Duncan, Corey said, showing me his phone as we carried in boxes. They recovered almost everything. Your parents' retirement is secure. Good timing, I replied. One less worry for today. Bailey emerged from his dorm room looking both excited and terrified. I think that's everything. Almost everything, Dad said, pulling out an envelope. This came for you this morning, from the prison. The room went quiet. Bailey took the letter, his hands steady. She's been writing every week. I haven't opened any of them. You don't have to open this one either, Mum said softly. No, I think it's time. He broke the seal and unfolded the paper. As he read, his expression shifted from guarded to surprised. She's signed up for therapy, he said, and gambling addiction counseling. Says she's finally ready to tell the whole truth, not just about the money, but about everything. Do you believe her? I asked. I don't know, but... He handed me the letter. She included this for you, Aunt Lana. I opened the folded note. Lana, I've spent every day here thinking about what I did to you. The truth is, I was never jealous of your money or success. I was jealous of your integrity, your strength, the way our parents looked at you with pride instead of worry. I know sorry isn't enough, but it's all I have right now. Sawyer. Well, Bailey watched my face. It's a start, I said, folding the note. A small one. Dad cleared his throat. Speaking of starts, we should probably… Yeah, Mum's voice cracked. We should go. Bailey hugged them both, then turned to me. Thank you. For everything. For fighting for the truth when everyone else believed the lies. That's what family does, I said, pulling him close. The real kind, anyway. Oh, Corey called from the doorway. Almost forgot. Housewarming gift? He handed Bailey a small package. Inside was a framed photo from his graduation day, not the ceremony, but after. Bailey stood surrounded by all of us laughing at something off camera. His first moment of real freedom from Sawyer's web of lies. Put it somewhere you can see it, Corey said. Remember, you've got people in your corner. As we walked back to our cars, Bailey's roommate arrived with his family. The two boys immediately started talking about video games and class schedules, the normal excitement of college life taking over. He's going to be okay, Mom said, watching them. Better than okay. Because he chose to be, I replied. Just like we all did. Dad pulled out his phone. Duncan says the last offshore account has been frozen. Everything's accounted for now. Not everything, Mom said quietly. We can never get back the time we lost, the trust we broke when we believed Sawyer over you, Lana. No, I agreed, but we can build something new, something stronger. Speaking of building, Corey interrupted, we're going to be late for the house inspection. House inspection? Dad asked. I'm buying a place, I explained. Just a small house, but it has a guest room. For when Bailey needs a break from dorm life. Mom smiled, really smiled, for the first time in what felt like forever. You're still taking care of everyone, aren't you? I learned from the best, I said, hugging her, even if we forgot it for a while. We said our final goodbyes to Bailey, watching him walk back toward his dorm with his new roommate. He turned once, waving, then disappeared inside to start his new chapter. In the parking lot, Dad pulled me aside. I know we've said it before, but I'm sorry for doubting you, for letting Sawyer manipulate us. I know, Dad. But look what came from it. I gestured around us. Bailey's stronger, Mom's stronger, we all are. Sometimes the truth has to break things apart before they can be rebuilt right. My phone buzzed, a text from Duncan. Final paperwork ready. Your parents' accounts are secure, new protections in place, ready to close this chapter. I looked at my family, Mom and Dad holding hands, Corey waiting by his car, Bailey's dorm rising behind us, and even thought about Sawyer, working on her own redemption in prison. The truth had cost us all something, but it had given us back ourselves. Yeah, I texted back. We're ready. Because sometimes endings aren't really endings at all. They're just the truth making space for new beginnings.